Everybody, and welcome back. I'm calling back to order the meeting of the North Andover School Committee of February 26, 2026. We are returning from our executive session. Please stand and join me in saying the pledge. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Happy to see everybody. We had hope you all had a wonderful February vacation and you were able obviously to shovel out and be here. We had canceled our meeting right before vacation because there was nothing of pressing concern to do at that one, but we have a full and stacked agenda tonight. So let's get started. Our consent agenda, Mr. Brown, minutes of January 26th.
Yes, I have reviewed and edited them, and they've been updated and corrected, and so I think they're ready to be quickly scanned. Wow, it's a long day. Quickly scanned by the committee, and shall I make my motion now? I would move that we adopt the minutes as shown in the packet.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier. I'll give everyone 30 seconds. All righty. We're good? Mr. Moskovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Sams?
I am going to abstain as I wasn't in attendance.
Mr. Brown?
Yes?
Mrs. Cormier?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 4-0 with 1 abstention. Great. Communications Part 1. Hello, lovely students.
Hello.
How are you? How did midterms go? And also, how was being back to yesterday after the extra long break? Has everyone survived? Were you excited to go back yesterday? I was.
I think we were all pretty excited, but there was a certain sort of like getting back into rhythm, like period. You know?
Got it.
Yeah.
I was very excited to not be home with my children anymore. we had spent a lot of time together on vacation, and they wanted to go see their friends, not me. So, what do you got for us tonight?
All right. So the first note was actually that we had a very nice long winter break with 2 snow days, and then that makes the running total 4. Fortunately, seniors don't have to make that up, but everyone else does, and they one more, and then it doesn't matter anymore. The Wednesday back was a modified schedule with all classes, so thank you to the admin team for doing that to make sure everyone was sort of like back on the same page. 3 months left for the seniors. That's the next note. So, yeah. Just a note for the seniors to complete the North Andover Public School scholarship applications, hopefully by tomorrow. If they don't know what that is, they really should. They should go scan through their emails, look for an email from guidance on what that is. Basically, their scholarship's just open to North Andover Public School students, and you can apply to whichever ones you fulfill the requirements for. Ideally, you should do that tonight because you might need transcripts and you might need a recommendation, so really get on that for guidance. And then also there is a Drama Guild performance that we'd like to highlight. The Drama Guild will be performing Booby Trap, a 1-act drama play. There are 2 performances at NOS. One of them was yesterday from 7 to 7:45, and one of them is today. So if you leave right now, you could probably make it. And the synopsis: in the near future, an American soldier sits in a combat zone trapped by a landmine. As he waits to see what will happen to him, scenes from his past, present, and future unfold around him.
Okay, and the mock trial will be competing at Clark University in the first round of the playoffs on Sunday, the 1st. DECA students will be attending the state conference competition on Thursday, the 12th, for an opportunity to advance to the national competition. The science team will be traveling to Boston to compete in the annual Science Olympiad, and there will be over 70 schools competing in over 20 different science builds and tests. Also, the Ecuador trip has completed, and North Andover Student Council is sending their students to MASC, or Massachusetts Association of Student Councils, which is a yearly conference in Hyannis, and this is happening next week. Allie, which unfortunately isn't here today, will be helping to run the conference as a state delegate, and 2 members of our council will be running a workshop to help others from around the state work on their leadership skills. The Asian Student Association is hosting a Lunar New Year party after school tomorrow. There's going to be lots of drinks and food and games. And the American Thought class is going on their DC trip this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Fantastic.
So
Thank
if
you
there's
so
any
much.
questions, or that's it.
Follow up on last day of school, I'm actually going to ask Ms. Lathrop, with the 4 currently.
I have it
where
in
are
my
we at?
slides,
Oh.
but I'll just quickly share. So we have had 4 snow days, and based on our current school calendar, the anticipated last day of school for students now is June 23rd for students in grades 1 through 11. The last day of school is a half day for students. And just a reminder that we don't go to school on June 19th because that's Juneteenth. North Andover High School graduation continues to be scheduled for June 5th. There's no change there. The ABECC building, their last day is 2 days before the official last day of school. And then I want to sort of clarify, so there was a little confusion. Everybody builds in 5 snow days. It's sort of a very standard practice in education, because we know if we just it's more for planning purposes for families. So even if we go to 6 school days, it doesn't mean that we're just going to end when we get to our 5. We will continue to go to school through June, unless the Commissioner of Education gives us other information. There are some things in the CBAs and the collective bargaining agreements where the teachers they don't teach after a certain date, so we would be respectful of that. But if we have 6 snow days, we still can manage 6 snow days, with the exception of high school seniors.
We go until we do the 180.
180 days.
180 days.
Yes.
Hopefully that's by June 30th.
Yeah, we'd
'cause
have to.
That's the rule. And then we start looking at other
Correct.
solutions.
Correct. I want to say, I think it was like 2015, where many areas in New England we had a lot of snow that year. And if you remember, those were years that some districts had 10, 11, and we had to get very creative with how we handled time on learning. So some school districts extended their school day. Other school districts went to school on a Saturday. Those things all can happen.
Some took away one of the days
Some
of
took
April
away
break.
vacation break days. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say that we're headed
We're
into
good.
March. The weather's a little bit warmer. Even if we have some snow, we're going to try to work, through that. But it is a little confusing. And so if anybody's listening at home, other questions I received was, now that you made like those made the half day into a full day, does that sort of get us back a day? It does not. Just for what you said, the reason that we do that is that we'd had a long break. We had two extra days to it. We really felt like, for everybody's sake, routine was best, and getting back to a regular schedule and learning. That's why we make those days a full day. So that was a long-winded answer.
No problem.
It's in the slide. I put it out on social media, and we'll try to keep reminding people of that.
Quick comment for that?
Sure.
Yeah, just a shout out about the scholarships. So first of all, I want to thank all the people who donate to that cause. It's an incredible community effort, and if you've never been to that ceremony, it's worth going to. But to the students, they really should take advantage of it. North Andover is a community is actually very generous relative to others in terms of providing scholarship money for students, and so it's silly to let it go. They should be all over that. And again, thank you to all the people who donate those scholarships.
Louine, can you remind us if we want to see? Isn't there a Twitter page, a tweet?
Instagram.
Insta. Where on Insta can I go to find out what are the future plans of seniors as they make those announcements?
The NAS Future Plans 2026 page. So
Thank you.
that'll have people can fill out a form once they do have their commitments in line, and they simply have to go on that page. There's the form to fill out, and our vice presidents of the class or the president will help. They will do the constructing of the Instagram post for you, and it's actually pretty streamlined, which is pretty neat.
It's pretty cool. It's cool. And it's the season where we'll start seeing more and more and more of those things go up, and that's exciting. Are either of you competing in those competitions coming up, the DECA or the science or the, no? Okay. Other questions or queries? Thank you. We would love to have you stay, but if you have to go home and do important homework, we completely understand.
How were midterms?
Yeah, how were midterms?
My midterms went solid.
Same here, I think.
They were new this year, like we did, like that's a significant change for the high school to have the formal midterm schedule, correct?
Correct. It was a significant change. It also came around those same snow days, so there was some changing in the midterm schedules. I know Ms. Holman will be here next time that we meet, so we can chat with her about it, but I know that she and the staff are looking at how that went for the school and getting some feedback and probably making some adjustments in some ways, but by and large, I didn't hear a lot of things that there were a lot of concerns.
Great. Thank you. Moving on, I don't usually like to do this, but I am going to break my own rule of taking something out of order. I'm going to welcome up to, because this is part of communications, I'm going to welcome up Laura Bates, who is chair of the Kittredge School Building Committee and member of the Select Board, because she has a communication for us.
Thank you guys for having me. We have some very exciting news to share with everybody. MSBA, the Massachusetts School Building Authority, voted yesterday to approve the Kittredge Elementary School project. So that building will replace the building across the street. The budget for that is $79.8 million, and the MSBA share is 36.6%, which is amazing. So almost just shy of $30 million that we'll be seeing reimbursement for. So we, as a town, we have 120 days from yesterday's meeting to accept that, appropriate the funds, so that we will be asking the residents of North Andover to come out at town meeting and approve that, the warrant article.
Which day is town meeting, Ms. Premier?
It is May 12th.
It is May 12th, yes,
Get your babysitter staff.
at 6, I should know this, 6:30.
Usually it's 6:30.
6:30, yeah.
Right.
So we're asking everybody to come out and support that. It'll be a huge, a big warrant article. And the Kittredge School will serve grades 1 through 5. There's 3 classrooms per grade level, much needed special ed space, OT, PT space, a gym, a cafetorium, a shared, the stage is between the gym and the caf, so it'll be a great space for the community to use. Outdoor space, we've got a maker room, an art room, a music room, things that the current Kittredge just doesn't have. So it'll definitely be a huge asset to the community, and it'll impact so many generations to come, and it will be energy efficient and, you know, all those great things that come along with a new
ADA
building.
compliant.
ADA compliant, yes.
And fire suppression.
Yes, oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be.
It'll have a working PA system.
Yeah, all those things, yeah, upgraded electrical, yeah. So.
So at town meeting, that's within with 120 days, we are going to ask the voters to approve the warrant article, which would take out a bond
Yes.
or a loan, a mortgage,
Yep.
for a different term, but
To
for
pay
the
for it, yeah.
for the 79.8 million. Once it's done, the state then reimburses us the 36.6%,
Yep.
assuming we follow all the rules we're supposed to.
Yes, and we have so far, so.
Yeah. What happens, so I'm positive, so that's obviously going to happen. What happens after that? Like
So-
then, how soon could the community maybe expect to see things happening over there?
Oh, interesting. So I think, let me reference our timeline, but, so what we've completed to date is the schematic design. So then, once we approve it, the design team will go into construction documents. So they have to prepare those, so that'll be design development between June 2026 and June 2027. And then construction is slated to start September 2027. And our planned opening date would be for the 2029-2030 school year.
So even though we're approving the monies this year, that's just that's enough money to start the official construction design process
Yep.
and construction
And construction.
next summer. Thank you.
Yes. Yep.
I am Yes, we have boards made of the design, and we had a meeting this afternoon, and I left the
Oh, you
boards
did?
there by accident. So I have a board here for central office, I have a board for all of the schools to, for the community. We have some trifolds here, but I wish I had the picture, so I'm sorry, but we will make sure, and if you visit any of there's one in Town Hall, there'll be one in the library, so if you visit, you can have a chance to see what the new design, it's really exciting.
Yeah,
I-
it's
and
a
I just,
beautiful space.
I came in as this was being built. I want to thank Dave Brown, our school committee member, who has been on the committee, and Laura as the chairperson, and the whole committee. And there's so many people that are sitting in the audience here today, our curriculum directors and special education director, and the staff, the former staff of Kittredge School, and the families who gave input into the building. I think when we actually saw the rendering, when it was all, you see bits and pieces, like everybody got moved to tears. It really is going to be a beautiful facility and school for the town and the students and the community.
We're very excited.
I was going to say, we have the brochure, I have a copy of the brochure here if anybody wants to look at it that's in the room, but the board that Superintendent Lathrop is referring to is a big sign, basically, that has a lot of information on it, including the rendering of what the building would look like, and a lot of specs about what's in the building and
The
so
floor
forth. So
plans,
you'll be seeing these all around town. You'll be seeing those boards at all the schools. So people want, and they can, of course, message us if they want more information.
Yeah, and we're trying to coordinate a tri-board meeting to have a presentation from the designers and our owner's rep, and kind of just present it to the community. And
It would be customary for them to come to each of the boards, but that
But-
seems fairly repetitive, so we're
Okay.
going to schedule
When we-
one meeting for everybody?
yes, we were looking at the schedule, and it would have been like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
The same week,
The
yeah.
same week, because we all have to give our recommendations for the warrant article.
Got it.
So we wanted to have that presentation before.
When will students be in the building? September 2028 or 2029?
2029.
29.
So very much connected to that, we might, as long as our capital improvement plan projects are approved at town meeting as well, there will be some construction activity at the site this year, moving the modular classrooms.
Correct.
And the gym facility for the upcoming school year.
Correct. So the modulars will be moved to the Franklin School after the capital improvement is approved at town meeting, and the gym may be used by the town facility. It's not going to be used in a school.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate. We're not able to move that in a way that it's safe for students to be able to still be in it, but we are able to move it so that it could be used for to store things.
Redoing the electrical and that would be very costly, but
Yeah.
as a structure for cold storage, it's perfectly suitable. So there will be hopefully some activity there, but not the
Not the-
actual construction. That will start next year. Thank you so much for coming and taking your time out to be there. I wanted you to be
Thank
able
you.
to make that announcement as soon as possible,
Yes.
and we happen to be meeting
So,
tonight.
thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, is there anything else we should know from the Kittredge Building Committee?
Yeah, as long as we're on that subject.
Yep.
So we are anticipating that tri-board meeting. Obviously, each board has to make sure they can get a quorum there and all that, but we're anticipating at the very end of March.
Yep.
So that it can be done in time for us all to make our recommendations for town meeting. So I was going to add that. And then other than that, really I'll reread the numbers. So the total project budget, $79.8 million. The MSBC is appropriating 29.2 in reimbursement to us, so the cost to us will be $50.6 million. That will be, but the bond will be, I guess the bond would be for the 79.8.
We have to
and then
approve
we
the
get
bond
reimbursement.
for the whole amount because they reimburse us afterwards. Yeah.
The formal design review documents were received. There were no surprises. Our feedback their feedback to us, no surprises, nothing really noteworthy. We responded to all whatever questions they had. There were some minor changes to the layout of the special ed rooms, just to, I guess, be fully compliant with state regulations. It didn't affect the architecture in any significant way. Yeah, that's it. And I mentioned the trifolds will be all over the place very soon, and the boards. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Bates, for being here. Thank you, Mr. Brown and Ms. Lathrop for being on the committee. And thank you to the building committee for getting all
That's
that work
amazing.
done. It was not a small feat to get that to happen. and get this to actually work out in our favor. So this is super exciting. So thank you very, very, very much from me as a citizen, and I imagine the entire board is joining me in saying that too. Again, May 12th,
Town meeting.
we are going to be voting on a lot of important things regarding the Kittredge building site, including the bond for the building. Capital improvement plan includes some things to reuse some of that facilities in other places, so please be there to make, to have those things approved. Thank you all. Moving on to public comment. Awesome. Superintendent Lathrop, upcoming events.
Sure. A few things coming up. So tomorrow I'm hosting office hours here at central office. It's 9:30 to 11 o'clock. There's no set agenda. I just am looking to hear some feedback. I'm also open to answering questions. So I'm hoping folks will come out and we'll have some conversations. I realize this is during the day and not everybody can be available. So we'll certainly make some, we'll have some upcoming ones that will be in the evening and potentially some virtual ones if there seems to be, some folks that might be interested in that. But that's here tomorrow morning from 9:30 to 11, so I hope some people will stop by. I've been going to some of the PTO meetings, and it's really been nice to have an opportunity to talk in a smaller group setting. I really want people to come with their questions. I'm very happy to answer them. Then on March 3rd, we have Parent Resource Night. This is the first time I think that North Andover has rolled something out like this. I want to credit Lindsay Chatterton and Lynn O'Neill for putting this together. So this is for students, families of our students from pre-K to 22 who benefit from special education services. It's going to be a night. We have some agencies. We have the Department of Developmental Services coming, Mass Ability, America Training. Just a wonderful night for parents to get some resources that they might not know about. It's at Franklin School in their cafeteria from 6:30 to 8:30. I do believe a form went home for childcare. So if you need childcare, you should have received an email asking you to RSVP. And if you need childcare, so please do that. That would be great. In your packet, I gave you just the flyer so that you see what that looks like. I think this is true. I saw on the calendar that the North Andover High School freshmen and sophomore have a semi-formal coming up on Friday. Yes, I'm seeing nods in the audience, so that's true. 6:30 to 10. That's on March 6th. On March 10th, our English Learners Parent Advisory Committee is meeting, or LPAC. They meet at the Stevens Memorial Library from 5:30 to 7:30. Again, March 12th, we have a school committee meeting. March 12th through 14th, North Andover Middle School's 8th graders will be having their play. I think the Thursday and Friday, they do it at night. I think it's 7 o'clock to 9, and then on the Saturday, they have an afternoon performance at 1. And then March 20th is the Scarlet Knight competition. Teams of are they all seniors in Scarlet Knight? Mm-hmm. Okay, so teams of seniors come together to compete for the Scarlet Knight award. Looks like a fun night, and it's been announced. I think I shared it on social media of the teams that are participating.
Please, you, sir. Are you competing?
I am not competing, unfortunately, but that means I can watch.
Excellent.
That'll be fun.
Also in your packet, it's not on here, but I put kindergarten information about kindergarten registration. Kindergarten registration opens on March 1st. It's for any child who's 5 before September 1st is eligible to register for kindergarten. Just a reminder, if your children are already or your child's already in our preschool program, they are automatically registered. And then Dr. Goddard and her team is hosting a kindergarten informational night, and that's on April 28th. From 6:30 to 7:30, and that's at North Andover Middle School. All this information is in all of our newsletters. It's on our website as well.
Ms. Superintendent, because kindergarten gets out those 2 days before everybody else, that's when the incoming families should expect to go to the building for kindergarten screenings, correct?
Correct. That's why we, yep. And the same thing, do you do preschool screenings? Yeah, we also do preschool screenings then as well.
Do we know what show the middle school is putting on?
I don't know the 8th grade show.
I feel like I should know.
Yeah,
I feel like I might have a child in that. I don't know. He hasn't told me.
It's a secret.
I can find out.
All right, great, thanks.
That's what I have for upcoming events.
Kids are great.
Text Dad.
Okay, I'll finish that after you. We'll do the next thing. Thank you. So the next part we had scheduled for our mid-year data review for all of our elementary schools come in and to give us an update on how awesome their school improvement plans are going. We're going to actually start by hearing from Dr. Goddard about the ABECC's school improvement plan because she was not here in November. Congratulations, happy to see you back. And we wanted to hear about what your plans were for this year. So.
Well,
Hi,
let's
everyone.
start with Tiffany. So you have a copy of the ABECC School Improvement Plan with Bulldog on the front in your packet. And I will start our slides. Excellent. So just remember our theme for the year, rooted in purpose, growing in practice. Our district goals are as follows. Throughout this presentation, I'm very proud of the fact that my principals and my team will talk very fluidly about Hegarty and Foundations and Wit and Wisdom and Eureka and Dibbles and QPS, and we understand that not everybody in the world speaks our language, right? And so the idea that there is a place here for us to have reference point, and if at any point we will try our best to understand, but honestly, like when we were practicing, one of my proudest moments was that our leaders were very fluidly using all of these terms because this is what we're living day to day with kids. And so, but these are here for you. They're also in your packet for reference. You are going to get from Tiffany, you are going to get a 30,000-foot view tonight of, you have the entire plan. You're going to get a 30,000-foot slide overview from Tiffany about what's going on at the ABECC. And I will put you here, Tiff.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's nice to be back. Sorry that I wasn't here in the fall to present when everyone else did. I was a little busy with my little guy at home, but I'm back. So this year, and we did go over these goals before I had left for maternity, so my staff is well aware of these. So for our 3 goals for the year, you'll see very similar to the elementary schools. Our first goal is around that high quality instructional material. So for us, it's continuing to use Wit and Wisdom, Foundations, and Hegarty like we have done for the last several years, and then implementing Eureka Squared for the first time this year. And that I've been lucky to be able to do some classroom rounds since I've been back in January to see that in action. And anecdotally, teachers really are appreciating the new curriculum for Eureka Squared, saying it's much more hands-on for students, provides a lot more opportunity for students to speak to each other and use math language. And so really, anecdotally, it's been a really good change for our team. So that's our first goal. Our second goal, again, similar to our elementary schools, is around that multi-tiered systems of support and equity. For us, we have a number of supports in place, whether it's us using the DCAP as a school to look at ideas to implement in the classroom, whether it's our SAT process to look at students who might need additional support. We also have reading intervention support, and we have been using our data meetings and our progress monitoring to look at how our students are doing and offer additional supports if needed. And then our third goal, which is slightly different from the elementary schools, this is our play-based learning goal. So this is continuing our goal from the previous year. So for us, it's looking at how we're presenting the material for our preschool and kindergarten students, discussing ways that we can implement and embed play into the learning. We do a lot of collaborating during our weekly collaboration meetings where staff's able to bring ideas that they use during their WIN block and share those with each other and then use those ideas within their own classrooms. So we're really looking at how to embed play into the learning that we're doing to continue with those outcomes that we're looking for.
Questions for Tiffany at this point?
two. One's really, really quick. You use the term SAT. What does that stand for?
Support student assistance team. Thank you. And it's where we come together with students who may need additional support for whatever area they're struggling in, and the team comes together to come up with some interventions.
Different than SAT at the high school level where they're taking
Oh,
a
yes.
test.
Oh, yes. Yes. Sorry, I'm so far from the high school. Thank you.
And I love, well, I'm going to say I think I love play-based learning. How is that different from other, can you give us an example of how that looks and what that means and how it might be different from other types of learning they do? Because it feels like, well, of course that's what you do in kindergarten.
Yeah.
But.
So, for example, you might walk into our WIN block, which is like our intervention part of the day, where you'll see small groups happening. So you might see, we're very fortunate in kindergarten, especially, and preschool, that they have a teacher's assistant in every classroom. So you might see small groups where one group of students working with a teacher, one's working with a teacher assistant. Sometimes you will have a special ed teacher in the classroom supporting depending on their schedule. And at those tables, you'll see students working on, for example, phonics, early reading skills, but they might be using a Go Fish game or to fish for the letters and then pull it out and read the letters. You'll see the students interacting with one another playing a game. And so it's still working on those foundational reading skills, but it's in a way that's a little more engaging for younger learners.
Thank you.
Yep.
We have other questions for Dr. Goddard?
So I just wanted to start by saying that I've had occasion to look at the data from the kindergarten, and it's very impressive.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. And I guess part of my question is, how did it get that way? I mean, what did you do? I mean, you moved students way more than other districts I've worked with in kindergarten.
Thank you for asking. So I think to say it's one thing would be hard, right? I think you're really thinking about our systems and thinking about the team that we have. When we are looking at data, it's not just something on paper. It's something that we then use to really determine what we're doing to support students in the classroom. And I think we're fortunate because it is kindergarten, for example, just all one grade together. All the teachers really are on the same page because they're meeting constantly together to talk about what they're doing, how they're supporting students. We're also really lucky where our special ed team members, our multilingual learner teacher, they're all involved in those data meetings and helping us action plan to support the students. And I think I feel lucky because it's one grade. I can go in and say, okay, here's the lessons that people are working on this week, and I can go into 5 different classes and see it in 5 different rooms and give people tips and ideas and say, oh, I just saw it in class down the hall. You could go steal this idea from them or borrow this material from them. And so it really helps to make sure everyone's on the same page and doing the consistent support for students.
So one thing I've kind of wondered about, it's a little bit like the chairman's question, what does it look like? I understand the theory about multiple systems of support, but what does it look like? How does it actually work?
Yeah. So for us in our building, it looks like from the minute level of the classroom, where you're looking at your 22 students and you're using DCAP supports, you're using your teacher's assistant to support, you might be having differentiated seating for students. I mean, those are all supports that you put in place. And then from a bigger level, you might be using your data meetings to determine what students need reading intervention support. So they might go out of the classroom for 30 minutes a day with an extra dose of phonics instruction with a reading interventionist or the multilingual learner teacher. It could be students are going with perhaps another group of students in the school, so going to a different classroom to get help. I'm lucky where I get to sometimes work with students still, and that's what keeps me going in leadership, is being able to work with a group of kids. So you'll see that students are really getting differentiated supports across the school depending on what they need. And some students it's reading support, some it might be around social emotional support, some it might be math support depending on what their focus is.
So if they're getting this support, it sounds like it's not just during the wind block. So how do you do these systems of support when you're in whole group instruction, or are you not, or how does all that work?
Yep. So I would say that wind block is definitely the easiest place to make that happen because it's embedded naturally into that schedule of being small grouped. But during whole group, it's trying to work together with, for example, maybe our special education teachers. And so maybe they're going into a classroom at that time and supporting with push-in. And we have some really incredible special education teachers who will look at, for example, the Wit and Wisdom lesson for that week or that day, and they may be able to offer some supplemental materials or some additional ideas that the teachers can then implement during their lesson, either with their TA or with themselves, depending on their comfortability with that.
So I wanted, if you don't mind, to ask about one of the advantages of Wit and Wisdom is that you start beginning to introduce substance content, and the people who have talked about study comprehension and reading, you really can't comprehend if you haven't. You need to do it gradually. You need to build it up. So, how does that work? I mean, do you see that sort of greater knowledge about? Is that working well?
Oh yeah, I mean the things that kindergartners know, I'm like, what? So for example, right now students are in the unit on America Then and Now, so they're learning about things from the past, and you know it's amazing to see. It's also really sad when they're like, Dr. Goddard, did they have cars when you were a kid? And I'm like, okay, listen, I am 18 years old, okay? But yeah, the things that they know, the knowledge base that they have is just, it's inspiring. It really
But I
is.
mean, it's coming from the Wit and Wisdom?
100%, because I mean the slides that we have that go with the Wit and Wisdom curriculum, the books that they're being exposed to, the videos, the artwork. I mean, you know, talking about, gosh, I'm gonna sound like the blue era, you know, in art, like this, how 6-year-olds knowing what
We're
that
talking
is.
Picasso, are
Yeah.
we?
I think so.
Yeah.
The students are. It's really. I think it's very impressive, and their language that they're able to use while discussing it is just. It's great.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
So one last question about teachers. You're saying that a lot of this has to do with teachers working together, and I'm guessing that doesn't just happen. I mean, either it's a combination of money for teachers to work together or careful planning. I mean,
Yeah, I think our collaboration, again, having one grade in one building really offers a lot of advantages because they can go down the hall to other kindergarten teachers and steal things and borrow things. And I always say the best teaching comes from stealing from other people. And so that really affords a lot of that. And then we also have weekly collaboration meetings. So teachers, we're not able to do all the teachers together in those because I don't have enough coverage for 14 classes, but we do groups of 3 or 4 teachers at a time. And during those collaboration meetings each week, we're looking at data, we're discussing maybe some tricky things happening in classrooms that teachers might need ideas and support on. We're sharing materials. We're just talking about students sometimes. You know, sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, like my friend Chris up here in the middle, who is like, I just have to say one of everyone's favorite kiddos, and Chris just is a joy. And so people are, you know, sometimes we just come to our collaboration meetings and we're like, this is what happened this week with this student. And I think because we consider them all our students and we're all talking about them because they're all ours, it brings out so much joy in the collaboration.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I have one question.
Sure.
So I know when these were first presented back, we talked about some of these goals, like their reaches, which is the purpose of a goal, right?
Yeah.
But looking at it now at that halfway point, how do you feel that progress is, and are we getting closer? Do you think we're going to be able to reach some of those goals or get close?
Yeah. So ultimately, what we're looking for too is at least 80% of students are on that grade level for their composite score of DIBELS. And so for us right now, we are currently at 76%. And I know that number just because Krista and I were talking about it yesterday. And so we're pretty close. And so it's exciting, and it's exciting to see, and then talk about for those friends who might not be there, just like what can we do to offer them some additional multi-tiered supports to get them there.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, thank you so much for being in the hot seat for a little bit.
Yep.
We're going to invite all the others up to join as well. And this part of the presentation is going to be data not specific to schools, but just the entire K-5 data that we're seeing thus far in the year, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I didn't realize we were done with.
I'm sorry,
Mr.
Done.
No, but I mean, like, I have a question.
Sorry.
My hands are so sweaty right now. I'm good, Dan. I'm
It's an
good.
easy one.
I tried.
I'm good, Dan.
I'm sorry. No, I thought we were pausing. I didn't realize we
Sorry,
were
my
moving
bad.
on. So I'm sorry. But
Yep.
it's a very general question. And so I'm just thinking about this. All these different preschool, I mean, kids that come into kindergarten here could come from our preschool, but they may come from other preschools. They may come from no preschool, right? So I'm curious what mechanisms we use to level set everybody, right? Because they're all coming in from various backgrounds, right?
Well, you can't really level set, right? That's the work of school, is to try to support students, but you can't really level set. You have to meet students where they're at and then help get them to the grade level.
Right. So do all these things together kind of accomplish that? Like, what's the strategy for that? Right.
Yeah.
I would think that would be a huge challenge.
It is a challenge for sure, and we do definitely see, I do look at the data to see which students were in our preschool, and typically those students are meeting grade level a little bit faster than some of the other students. Not surprising, just with the consistency of curriculum, because we're lucky. Our preschool does implement Foundations and Haggerty, and so there is a lot of that continuation from all the way from preschool up. I think it's it's through that multi-tiered system of support, of looking at what do those students need in order. Coming into kindergarten, some students, it's school readiness. That's what they're working on. They're not yet ready to look at a letter and tell you it's A, apple, ah, because they've never sat in a chair or held a pencil before. Right. And so for some of those kindergartners coming in, that's what we're working on at the beginning of the year for them. And the case screenings are really helpful for that, because when we have the students come in before school starts, we can take a look at what they might need, and we can start to plan and be thoughtful before school even begins, to make sure that we're offering, those students some extra help.
Okay, so each teacher has some idea of like how to target, right? What certain students need versus others.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also a plug for Tiptoe into Kindergarten. That is an amazing program that Rick Gallant runs in the summer that really helps students prepare for kindergarten with those school readiness skills, as well as us prepare for some of the students. We get to know them a little bit and know, what things might motivate those students, and what might be helpful for them as we get ready for them to come into us.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. I apologize, Mr. Brown.
No, it's all right.
So now we're going to pause and welcome up all of our other presenters for the night. We're going to hear about the K-5 data. So come on up, folks, or who's ever coming up.
Come on up. I love a situation where we have to make room. The team is so big. It's awesome. I'll back a little bit back, yes.
So excited to see all of you. Welcome. Miss Ando, we're going to hear the stuff that they have the wonderful things they're going to share with us all. We're going to take our notes, and then we'll go back through. We'll know any questions we might want to ask, and then we'll go back to the beginning and go slide by slide to ask some follow-up questions. The goal is to hear, it's a mid-year progress update on how the schools are doing. I would suggest, or I'd ask the committee that we are welcome to ask clarifying questions to understand the things that they're doing, but that we're here to learn from them and not necessarily, advise them on what to do. Would that be a fair way to categorize it?
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
can you
Well,
tell us all the wonderful folks who are here with us, and you can.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be quiet.
I'm so lucky. Our K to 5 team, including Dr. Goddard, right? So exactly right next to me, we have Erin O'Loughlin, principal of Atkinson School. We have Martha Jankaitis, assistant principal of Atkinson School, and also our Title I director. We have Jackie Taylor, who is one of our directors of curriculum. Chris Raymond, the proud principal of the Thompson School. Nicole Radelski, principal of the Franklin School. Joe Clark, another one of our curriculum directors, and Karen Murdoch-Leahy, our principal of the Sargent School. And so I am proud. What'd you say?
And Kara.
Oh, hi, Kara. Kara's in the audience. Exactly right. And so, yes, absolutely. Welcome to my team. This team is incredible. We have worked hard all year, and we're really proud of this presentation. And also, like, speaking to the team, I had a bit of a personal snafu yesterday, and I canceled and rescheduled at least 4 times for our run through for this presentation tonight, and they were wonderful and flexible and forgiving, and that just describes what they're like all the time. And so they're great humans. I put the number 100 up there because as a team we collectively have over 100 years of experience in educational leadership. Please note that the current or the average lifespan of a principal in Massachusetts is 5 years. And so collectively, we have over 100 years of experience. We have over 220 years of experience in education altogether. So you are sitting among greatness, and I am so fortunate to work with them every day. So we are pleased to give you our mid-year report. Just a reminder, here are our goals for K to 5. Our goals were around, guess what? High-quality instructional materials. Big jobs this year were implementing Eureka Math Squared, continuing wit and wisdom, and starting with investigating history. We have a distributed leadership structure where principals and directors are developing tools and designing sessions. Teacher leaders are participating in a train-the-trainer model, and then teacher teams are common planning and coordinating instruction. So there are leaders at this table. There are also teacher leaders that are out in the work, and then team leaders that are coordinating the instruction with one another. So I really very proud of a distributed leadership structure we have. Goal number 2 was around our multi-tiered system of support. Multi-tiered system support being the many supports we have in place for students to get additional or extension help in whole group, small group, or on an individual basis. It is based on our data meeting cycle, which is shown here. Where the red arrow is, that's like when you're at the mall, like you are here. You know what I mean? Or whatever. We've had data meeting 1, progress monitoring data meeting 2. We are reporting out, the data we're reporting out tonight is from our mid-year benchmark data. And so all students participate in the top 3 data points. Students who might need some more support participate in the bottom 2. They get monitored more often. We knew that goal number 3, and you heard about it from our principals in the fall, was about building school culture. So those are just giving you a reminder of our goals overall before we give you our updates. Now, Tiffany, Dr. Goddard presented the ABECC School Improvement Plan. We struggled a little bit with how to present the results to you because if each school was going to present their own plan, it would sound remarkably similar. This is our proudest, this is something we're very proud of, consistent, rigorous curriculum with our high-quality instructional materials and multi-tiered system of support. We have common goals, we have common practices, but we have unique perspectives. So we are going to share our common goals and common practices tonight, and then each school leader is going to bring a unique perspective to the work that they're having. But everything that you see in those buckets, data meetings, progress monitoring, the WIN block, and the Hill in grade 1 professional development is happening in all schools, in all classrooms, 1 to 5. And so we really want to provide students with consistent and rigorous experience. Dr. Goddard told us about the awesome things happening at ABECC. Exactly, yep, exactly, that thing is awesome. And again, common goals, common practices, unique perspectives. So you'll hear from different members of our team with the idea that we are working together, with the idea that data meetings are a way we collect data from students. We have data meetings to examine that data. Progress monitoring happens When we notice that students possibly aren't making as much progress as we'd like, we actually assess those students more often. A win block, what I need is around the idea that we've built into the elementary schedule a place for students to get additional support, either on a whole group, individual, small group basis. And the Hill for Literacy is our major literacy partner, and we have a major undertaking with grade 1 around foundational skills. And so those are the 4 buckets we're going to talk to you about tonight. Our goal 1 and our improvement benchmarks. These were our benchmarks that we set out for goal 1. 100% of teachers will implement Eureka Squared in the Wit and Wisdom program with fidelity. 100% of teacher teams will meet at least 5 times a year to examine literacy data. 100% of teams will meet at least 6 times a year to unpack Eureka topics. And school leaders will visit every classroom at least 2 to 3 times per term and discuss implementation feedback with teachers. Again, and so you see these bright green smiley faces because we are on track to meet all of these goals. Joe is going to tell us a little bit about Eureka Math implementation.
So hello again, everyone. I think the last time I was here, I was still principaling and asking you to approve and adopt Eureka Squared. So it's nice to be back and talking about Eureka Squared after the adoption. So thank you for that. These incredible leaders are about to go through all of this amazing data and all of the resources that they implement every day to get to that for our dibbles and our reading instruction. This is my one little slice of pie I get here for goal 1 with the HQIM implementation. I am very excited to announce we have 100% implementation across all classrooms K-5 with incredible integrity. Dr. Goddard mentioned this earlier about the kindergarten specifically, but vastly everyone is so enormously grateful for this upgrade to Eureka Squared. It's funny though, if you ask any teacher or student what the best improvement to Eureka Squared from Eureka is, they'll say color in the books. It is by far the biggest winner. There's color pictures in it, Mr. Clark. Great, that's awesome. But we have every teacher doing it. It is immensely positive feedback. We have rolled out a curriculum plan, a professional development plan for our staff that has been systematic, consistent, but also fluid over the course of the last few months. I do have to say we're not going to hit our 6 times for teacher unpacking because we took away that half day in January for the PD, and I thought we were getting a full day back or something, I guess. I don't know. But so the structure we have, and in conjunction with what Dr. Goddard was saying about how it's great to have all kindergarten in one building because they can steal from each other, they can talk to each other. The way that PD is structured this year with the half day instead of the 1 hour wacky Wednesdays that we've had for the past 10 previous years, now the way it has been structured for these math PDs, we come all together to the Atkinson School. I do about a 40-ish minute whole group debrief presentation. We talk about a new topic, which I'll mention in a minute, and then they break off into district grade level teams. So all of the 3rd grade teachers of the district meet together and they unpack a topic, which I'll talk about in a second. And they have the opportunity to share with each other, which we haven't had since I taught 5th grade back in 2010 or so, when there were no cars. So the picture we have up there under our launch, and the reason why I structured this launch, learn, and land is that really has been the structure of all of our PD. And the reason that's been the structure of our PD is that is how Eureka Math is structured. So we're using the same language. I use the language with the teachers use the language with their students, and they have that consistency across. The picture you see there is actually from August. That is our group of FCIs. It's very small, but you will also see that all of these incredible leaders are in that building, including Ms. Ando and Mrs. Lathrop. Also, Mr. Gonzalez and the new assistant principal, Ms. Auger, are in attendance as well. And the high school principal, Mrs. Holman, is also there because we came together to really look at Eureka Squared, understand what it was with this incredible group. I cannot stress enough how near impossible this undertaking of implementing the new curriculum will be if I did not have these FCIs working right alongside me. They step up they lead the small group, what I was talking about when all the third grade teachers are together, all the second grade teachers are together. Those FCIs then facilitate that part, because obviously I can't split myself into all of those different rooms. So we started with this group and then we expanded. We had a large kickoff in one of the first August PD days for about 3 hours. And then we met in September and November. They met asynchronously and did the unpackings in January on the full day PD. We missed the January one, and then they'll meet again at the end of March. And what we've been able to do is each time I bring feedback from the previous PD's exit ticket. And those exit tickets are what's going well with Eureka, what's challenging with Eureka, what are you finding that is working well with your students specifically, so that we can bring those in. And then we start that whole group with myself debriefing that PD and looking at it. And one of the things that came up was the manipulatives are really hard. There are so many manipulatives needed with this. It was also noted as one of the most incredible things that there are so many manipulatives. We were able to secure all of the manipulatives for Eureka Squared for all of our teachers. So all of our teachers are outfitted with everything that they need for Eureka Squared. That has helped with the implementation. There is a lot of prep work, and that is one of the things that teachers have, I would say, one of the critiques is there's a lot. So for example, my wife one night was like, so Joe, are you gonna go and get me an enormous bag of beans at Market Basket right now? I'm like, well, what do you mean? I go, why do I have to go get a bag of beans? She's like, well, I need 18 bags of 120 to 300 beans. I was like, oh, no. So that didn't go well. No, but it is a lot of prep work, but they're doing it. So what you can see over on the land in that picture is a word wall in a third grade classroom at Atkinson. On the left, it's so small, I apologize, but on the left, those are vocabulary cards. Vocabulary cards that are created from the resource by some of our teachers that they can put up in a word wall and access. Over on the far right, it's kind of like that rainbow colored poster way over in the corner. That's the talking tool. And that talking tool has been such an incredible resource for all of our students, because it gives them sentence starters on how to have those conversations. Because like Dr. Goddard had said, there are so many opportunities for student discourse within this program. So now through our PD plan over the course of the time, as we get to that learn, I do have a little video in there. We're not gonna show it, it's about 4.5 minutes long. But this is a video that I used at our November PD when we were shifting our focus a little bit as we were going through classrooms and we were seeing the incredible work by every single one of our teachers doing this program with fidelity. The first year, it's amazing. The first year we had Eureka 1.0 or whatever we want to call it. Yikes, that was a hard year. And everyone just sees, I was talking to Dr. Goddard before the meeting. We were not talking mid-meeting. But before the meeting, we were talking about just the amazing upgrades that they've made from Eureka to Eureka Squared, and the fact that it sounds like the developers actually listened to teacher feedback, because most of the things that teachers were not excited about with Eureka Beta have been changed and have been upgraded. Embedded in the lesson plans, it says, this is a great opportunity for you to pull up a piece of student work and show it to everybody and have a student explain. It helps the teachers use those teaching moves and become more fluid with it in this first year where they're able to do that. And that was our focus of the November PD, which is what that video shows. It's one of our fourth grade educators in the schools that allowed me to come in, and I videoed her entire lesson from start to finish, and then I just kind of spliced together the areas of where she was showing student work. And she's like, well, what should I do? Do I need to do that? I'm like, just teach the lesson. I know you're gonna do it, just go. And within that lesson, there were 5 or 6 different opportunities that she showed student work in a different way, whether it was having the students show their work together and then on a whiteboard and explain what they did, whether she casted it up on the what do you call the thing? The document camera, or many, many different things. She had 3 students up at the board all working on 3 different problems at the same time and then explaining it. The student voice has really shifted the balance a lot with this program, and that's what we were hoping for, and we're seeing it, which has been really incredible and really important. I will say the one thing that teachers really didn't like about it in the beginning of the year was you would not believe how many times the number 67 comes up in a math curriculum.
No one knew at the time.
3 times in that one lesson. It was the answer for 3 different. I'm like, are you kidding me? And all the kids, I'm looking around. This was November, and nobody's moving. And I look, nothing. Well, no, we gotta stay in for 6-7 minutes of recess if we say it. I'm like, oh, that's a smart one. Right. But anyways, I am very pleased at the incredible work that our teachers have done. Like I said, I could not do it without this team of educators leading the way in their buildings every day, the FCIs supporting with the PD, and supporting with the day-to-day questions that I know come up in the buildings. But 100% implementation and positive implementation in the first year is noteworthy. So again, thank you for adopting Eureka Squared and helping us already reach our goal 1 in terms of Eureka.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, no problem.
FCIs are teacher leaders, facilitators of collaborative inquiry. It's okay. I'm very proud that we speak this language, and we know what we mean, right? But the idea that our teacher leaders have been, as Joe said, so instrumental. So the main part of, one of our major PDs was watching one of our teacher leaders try something new, and for everybody to then go back into the lesson and learn from it. And so absolutely, again, shared leadership, right? The directors design an experience that teacher leaders and principals participate in, and then they take that out to their buildings. So really exciting stuff. Thanks, Joe. That's awesome. Goal number 2. Now remember, goal number 2 is around our multi-tiered systems of support. And we had a few benchmarks. 100% of grade K-5 teams will use common assessments that coordinate with Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. You're going to hear a lot about the DIBELS tonight. That's one of our common assessments. 100% of staff will use assessment data sources to target students in WIN blocks. And so WIN stands for What I Need. It is our intervention block. It's an opportunity to have large group, small group, individual support for students to either remediate a lesson or extend a lesson. Our goal was for 80% of students to be proficient based on the end of the year DIBELS composite score. And so very clearly, I think we are working toward and have good progress toward these goals as well. I'll show you in a minute. Are you doing this one? Yes.
So if you take a look at the graphs here, what you're looking at, you'll see at the top, it is for the DIBELS. And so that stands for Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills. And there are a series of subtests that we give to all of our students, K-5, 3 times a year. And when you saw Kristen show those bubbles and the arrow showing that we're in the middle bubble, that's the data that you're seeing right now up there under the second, where it says middle of year data. And we're comparing it to where we were from the beginning of the year. Now, you also heard Kristen talk about DIBELS composite. So composite is what we're looking at. It is taking all those subtests and it's putting them together. And it's giving us an output score, 1 score, and that's the composite score, and that's the one we're using as the measure for trying to get to 80% proficiency. So you will see 4 different colors. What those colors mean is that if a student falls well below or in the red, it means that there is a higher risk that they are going to struggle with reading. If they're in the yellow, it means that there's a slight risk that they're going to be struggling. They call it a moderate risk. And if they're in green, it means they're at that benchmark, which means negligible risk. And the same with the blue, it means that they're far above that benchmark, also negligible risk. And so when we're taking a look for the 80% proficiency, what we are putting together for that number is our green and our blue that you see up top here. So at the beginning of our year, the green and blue together was at 70%. So our students coming into us from K to 5 with their composite score were about 70% proficient. Our middle of year scores, we have increased that to 74%, and in the process, we've shrunk the students who are in the categories for significant risk and moderate risk, which we are very happy about, that we're heading in the right direction. Again, that's where the green smiley face changed color slightly because we're not yet at the 80%, but we are making our way there. Kristen, do you mind showing the next one? We also like to take a look at how does this compare to trends over years. And so we were looking back to last year at this time as well. Similar, you will read this graph the same as you did the last one. And so last year around this time, we were about at 72% proficiency. And as you saw this year, we're at 74. So again, trending in the right directions. In a minute, I'm going to hand it over to our brilliant principals. And as Kristen framed for us, this isn't happening in a vacuum. There are systems and structures that are very consistent across all of our elementary schools that are leading to these changes in the data. And so each principal is going to have an opportunity to share with you what those are and how they're contributing to changing what we're seeing up here. Thank you.
Karen, will you start us off talking about data meetings?
Sure. Karen, you might want to pull the mic closer.
Sure thing. Thank you, Joseph. Happy to be here, and boy, lots of information for almost 7:45 at night for all of you. So my slide is about data meetings, and this is, again, what has been said repeatedly, is that this is across all schools. So I just got that bucket for data meetings, which are very dear to my heart and Sargent Schools as well, but I really want to emphasize that it's for every elementary school is doing this. And I want to pause for a second and just say, as you listen, first I want to give a shout out to Tiffany, if I can. Dr. Goddard, I mean, the last 4 principal meetings, she comes in and just says, I am so exhausted. I was up all night. That she has a new baby and another baby and a daughter in middle school. And so I'm like, when she sat here, I thought, she has this bar tonight on her A game. She's up at the top of her, because I think we're all a little tired right now. But man, the way that she has held that, so Tiff, way to go. But I also just want to say that we're going to talk as principals for the work that we're doing in the schools with teachers. But it starts with the team that we have here and what has been put in for systems and structures, as you've talked about, that I just want to mention as well. So just to emphasize that every school is doing the beginning, middle, and end of year data meetings, as well as the weekly collaboration meetings that we're going to talk about, as well as our SAT meetings, the student assistant team meetings. So what I'd like to do is just take a second to talk about give you a better detail of a day-to-day in a school of what does that look like. My first question, if I were in your chair, might be, how do teachers find the time to be able to get these meetings in? And it's because we've put in those types of structures in our school day schedule, but also that we've made it a priority. And I think about data and learning and working with data as a muscle, and that it's a muscle that we continue to strengthen that helps kids tremendously. And I am proud to say that in my 13 years at Sargent, 8 years ago, we implemented a data wall in a room that used to be a kindergarten room, and then they left. And it was great. I actually stole it from another principal that I took the whole team to, not the whole, but a chunk of people to Haverhill, my first year as principal, to a turnaround school, and I said, can I see what you're doing that's been so successful? And so one of the things was the data wall, the room that she actually had teachers doing it. It's making me smile now to think that 13 years later, where we're at as a district of making this as comfortable as, you know, a glove that fits really well, that teachers are comfortable with it. But I really think that it goes back to, I put the word culture up there, because it goes back to, and it's a testament to the teachers, because when you're looking at assessments within your colleagues and grade level teams, you have to have a spirit of vulnerability to know that you're not in a zone of judgment. And Ed, you're shaking your head, but last year when you came over for that meeting, one of the questions in the data room with this grade level team after they left, he said, was it hard, or is it continually hard to get the teachers to not go back on their heels, to be feeling like they're in a zone of judgment, but to be willing to share and be able to learn from each other? And I think that's about the culture of the school, and what I'm so proud of at Sargent, and I know the principals share that within their own schools, is that there is that spirit of all of us are smarter than one of us. And I can learn from you if I'm willing to come in and be able to put it on the table to say, I have a student that I'm struggling to meet their needs of where they're at, and I need to hear feedback from all of you. So that's been the greatest satisfaction for me as a principal, to see that the teachers have become so comfortable, and that the level of engagement on realizing the importance of this is so high. We're at a really great, momentous point. So what the data meetings look like is that we do this beginning, middle, and end of year data meetings. But we also have the weekly collaboration meetings. And so that's the slide, the picture on the far left. And within that, there's a special education teacher, there's grade level team teachers, there's actually a student teacher, which I'm always proud of to see young ones come through. And the level of conversation, and it wasn't just when I walk in and I'm attending the meeting, or my assistant principal, Ellen Peters, but that it's a fluid conversation that's going on about small group instruction, how it's being effective for the reading instruction. And then the next picture is a picture of the SAT meeting. And what Joe's thanking you for the Eureka Math, I'll thank you for the second guidance counselor at Sargent School that's been provided. Because of that, we have been able, a lot of heavy work from Ms. Peters, my assistant principal, to take on the SAT restructuring. And that is that when the one guidance counselor pushes into a classroom to do an SEL lesson, the teacher then can leave and they come to a SAT meeting where they can come down, and it could be about reading instruction, but it also could be about social emotional supports, or where a student is struggling with from something that OT could help with by so forth. We get an agenda ahead of time to hear what the problem is, and then we're able to structure the meeting to have the important players at the table that can assist them and support them. So those meetings have been super helpful. And those meetings happen at least once a month for every teacher. And even if they don't want to bring a student in as an SAT, when I first arrived at Sargent, there was a shift of you bring a student name and their concerns to a student assistant team meeting with the thought that maybe they need to be on the trajectory towards an IEP. And that has shifted to where, and maybe that still could be the case, where we try different interventions and they're needed to be able to get the supports that might ultimately lead that they need to have some more testing done. But what has shifted is that the SAT meeting is mirrored and locked in with the data meetings of what we're doing for the collaboration meetings, where it could be, I'm just missing something, and I want to talk to a team of people to be able to ask them, can you help me decide and direct me to what I might be missing? That's that culture and vulnerability piece. So overall, those are the ways that we're using data. The whole district, as principals, we're using it in the same way. I just wanted to give you a bird's eye view of what it looks like in a school for Sargent. It's been super effective. And the last thing, if you can just indulge me for a second, is that I know that you all know that this is my last year. And it is bittersweet for me, but I want to really make sure that I'm leaving, and I probably will be back with you. I'm sure that maybe there'll be another time. But I want you to know of what I have seen in 13 years of the evolution of the systems and structures and the consistency. And this is the best that I've seen it right now with what has aligned with the schools and what we have been doing, that teachers recognize what they need, and that's been coming from the district. I remember when Jackie started, and Mary Gregoire, shout out to her, when we had one curriculum coach, and we have now more. We do need more, is what I guess I want to say. So the last thing I want to just throw in is that we're at a great point with good momentum. The muscle is continuing to be strengthened. But I'm delighted, from being a parent for 32 years in this town and raising my kids, as well as a teacher and educator and coach, that I watched one override go through, and I'm really excited about the talk with that, and I want to continue to cheer you on with it, because the momentum we have now, if we can continue to strengthen that with more supports of what we think that we need for teachers, curriculum, interventionists, we won't have any of those reds, I believe, because of the heart and soul of the teachers that are here. They're hard workers and they're all in. So.
I'm going to pause us for a second and say, I'm a little angry at you because you're
Talk
leaving.
too long?
No, I'm excited and elated for you to experience what comes next. But I'm sad for us that you'll be stepping away. But it's a well-earned opportunity
that.
for
Thank
you. I'm sad, not angry, sad. And thank you for all the wonderful things you've done for our district for so long. Because your leadership has gone beyond the building. Beyond your own building, but it really helped the entire district, and that's really important that we note that. So thank you very much, and I hope we get to see you at least one more time before the end of the year.
Oh, for sure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry to go off script, Chris.
That's it. Me too.
Karen,
I'm only supposed to be writing questions down, not one off script.
Exactly. No, thank you. Well said by everybody. Awesome.
We should have ended with Karen.
I know. It's true. It's true. I know. Why did we put her first? All right, Chris, beat that.
Next in this presentation? I will not try to beat that, but I will talk about wind blocks. And congratulations to Karen, absolutely. Tiffany, wonderful job. So I have the pleasure of talking about wind blocks with you tonight, which is also the What I Need block. I would actually be remiss if I didn't, at the outset, just say that all of this work that you're hearing in the wind block in and of itself, it's all important and hard work as we support every student at the elementary level and beyond in North Andover. So this is really my shout out to each elementary school and all the elementary staff who are taking the data that Principal Leahy talked about and then really using that to come up with meaningful interventions in tandem with all these fantastic people at the table tonight as teachers on the ground in their classrooms to work with kids. So certainly important and hard work, and I'm proud to say that I work in this district and work alongside some fantastic teachers at each of the schools that are doing this great work. So what is the What I Need block? What's the WIN block? So as you know from our school improvement plans, each elementary school at this point has a 45-minute block built into each of the schedules. So every classroom and every school at the elementary level has a 45-minute What I Need block. So what the teachers are doing in that block is they will take the data that Principal Leahy talked about and that others have talked about. They'll take the beginning of the year data, they'll take their middle of the year data, and they will plan interventions for their students. Mr. Clark mentioned the one that some time that we missed. So we actually missed the middle of the year one with our current PD, but we have a plan to actually talk about that with our teachers next week, despite the snow day. So the teachers will take that data to plan interventions for their students. And during this time, the students will work in a small group with their teacher. They may also work one-on-one with their teacher. This is also an opportunity for students to work with their special education teacher, reading specialist, multilingual teacher, or other school support staff member. And it's important to know about WIN blocks and the students themselves that students can test in and out of these intervention groups. We're really looking at the data. Students may work with their teacher more or less throughout the year. So there's flexibility throughout the year based on the data that we're receiving. Below, you see some pictures there. Some of the things, I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on, but in the pictures that you see there on the far left, we have a second grade classroom, and that teacher's actually, while the students are working individually in math in this particular WIN block, the teacher is going around and checking in with students on a one-to-one basis throughout the WIN block. The middle one is actually a fifth grade classroom in which the teacher is actually, it's right at the outset of the WIN block, and the teacher is presenting the expectations for the WIN block and what students will be working on before they break up into either groups of the teacher, groups of the teaching assistant, pair groups, pairs, or working individually. And then on the far right is a teacher working with her student one-on-one, and during the WIN block, particular students will come up again based on the data that we've been looking at. What are some of the interventions that teachers are utilizing? So you may see content centers during WIN block. You may see teachers doing small group math work using the Eureka Squared materials. They may be using the Wit and Wisdom materials. They may be using Foundations or Heggerty, a lot of those things you saw on the early slide at the beginning of the presentation. They may be having individual writing conferences with their students. They may be having text discussions. They may be doing repeated word, phrase, and passage reading, either in small groups or with, a student one-on-one. They may be using the GEODS resource for comprehension support. They may be using Amplify groups or lessons, and Amplify is an adaptive program which also offers the opportunity to have kids who are above benchmark. So it can offer lessons and opportunities for kids who actually are above benchmark too. I wanted to, before moving on, share a little story. So I got to talk with one of our teachers about the WIN block. I talk to them all the time about the WIN block, but in preparation for the presentation, we talked a little bit about, now that we've had some time through this year, what's been successful. So one of our teachers in the 5th grade talked a lot about that, particularly with math, the WIN block offers the opportunity to really, at this point, knowing her kids and their learning and what they're working on and looking at the data, she's able to present different visuals for some of her learners, maybe some standard algorithms, or other facts with her students in conjunction with Eureka Squared materials. And she's really seen a lot of increases in her data, both throughout the program, the tickets and the testing program through Eureka Squared, or in her map testing. The other thing that was important in what this teacher told me is that the students, they start to understand themselves a lot more deeply as learners, because there's so much work done either in small group, individually, or with peers, particularly in 5th grade, that the students themselves really begin to advocate and understand themselves more as learners. And the example she gave me was students who didn't even really have a really good understanding earlier in the year of maybe what their skills were that they were deficient in and what they needed to work on, where now a lot of students are coming up to her and saying, can you help me with these sentences? I'm looking for X here, or I'm looking for something here. And, as we go through education, we go past elementary into secondary education, those skills are so vitally important that we understand ourselves as learners and how we can advocate for our learning. And I think it's just going to, launch the kids off into middle school and beyond in a really great way. So that's a small example, and I would tell you again that through all of these wonderful people sitting here in our district leaders, that this is happening in every classroom. We have some wonderful staff who are doing this each and every day, and I'm sure each and every teacher has a story like that about their class. So we've heard about data. We then use that data to turn it around to specific interventions during a part of the day, but it's also important that we consistently monitor our students and we check in with them. So in order to do that and talk about that, I'm going to turn it over to Principal Radelsky.
He was doing such a smooth transition.
Thanks, Joe.
As we talked about, data meetings are happening. So Ms. Leahy spoke about the benchmark data meetings that happen 3 times a year. The progress monitoring meetings happen every 6 weeks. We're reviewing the data. So we're picking our students and we're selecting, and then we're doing some teaching and then reviewing that progress monitoring data. So students who fall below the benchmark are progress monitored bi-weekly by the teacher, the reading teacher, the special ed teacher. They monitor progress to adjust their interventions during the WIN block. Classroom teachers, special education teachers, multilingual teachers, reading staff all participate in this process. And like Karen mentioned, that is happening during our data meetings, but it's also happening during collaboration time, and they're meeting to say, this is working, this isn't working, I need help, which is nice. So, like we've shared before, we can all speak to, the amazing work that the teachers are doing and the success that they're seeing. So I have two just scenarios which I'd like to share with you tonight. So the first graphic on the left there, student number 1, was selected for progress monitoring. The teacher designed some activities to support this student with decoding and word reading. So the teacher worked with the student during the WIN block. She created activities to support him with decoding words. So she actually used Heggerty to build some awareness of oral sounds, connecting, like hearing and manipulating sounds orally. She also used connected text, which is what we call the geodes, which is our decodable readers. So she gave the student opportunities to hear sounds, manipulate sounds, but also connect those sounds to reading words in print. And as a result, this student made some excellent gains. So the first graphic there is the student is asked to read nonsense words, and they have to read, it's called whole words read correctly. So he moved from 27 words in a minute to 59 words in a minute. He also, that subtest also, you get credit for getting correct letter sounds. So he was able to, get 8 correct letter sounds in a minute, and they jumped to 19. He is still below the benchmark at this point, so his composite score is a 376. So he's moved into a different category, but he's still below the benchmark. So he will continue with small group work with the teacher, but the teacher expressed how much confidence, and he's participating more now during whole group ELA lessons. She's seen a change in his ability and confidence to write during his focusing question task. So she's going to continue. She talked about, continuing with the decoding and word reading, and, but also moving towards some comprehension less. So the next session, she already has a plan for what she's going to do. But he's made tremendous gain, and it's a testament to her, her instruction during that WIN time. The other student is needed support with oral reading, so being able to read at a better rate with better accuracy. And this particular teacher did small group lessons using our Foundations curriculum. So she used like passages or word reading fluency, like word phrases. She targeted a specific phonics skill to practice and improve on, and this student made excellent gains as well. They went from reading 46 words in a minute to 93 words a minute, and their accuracy also improved greatly. This student actually met benchmark, and the teacher was like really excited, but also was like, but now I'm going to work on multisyllabic words, so decoding more difficult words, and also working on comprehension strategies. So it was really nice to, it wasn't like, I'm done. It was like, they were all like, now I'm gonna do this, just reflecting on what was working, what they did, and saw the progress. So again, there's stories like that happening in all of our schools, and it's just so nice to see that collaboration and sharing during the data meetings, during collaboration time, and the teachers are really proud of their work, so it's exciting. But we know that teachers do need to learn as well and improve. So one thing that the district has done is support teachers with that ongoing learning. And I'm going to pass it over to Erin to talk a little bit about that.
So as you've heard, we have several structures in place, thank you, to support all of our learners, and a huge...
It's more just for the camera hold.
Oh, is that close enough? Is that good?
Just so the people at home can hear you.
I get nervous. So we have a lot of structures in place to support all of our learners. A huge part of sustaining this work long-term is to build capacity among all of our staff. One way that we are doing this is our partnership with Hill for Literacy. So Hill is a DESE-approved literacy consultant, which is dedicated to advancing equitable literacy outcomes for all of our students. It gives skills to deliver high quality, responsive literacy instruction that meets the unique needs of each of our students. Our work with Hill will continue for multiple years in order to build that capacity among all of our staff. During the 24-25 school year, our reading specialists, literacy coach received training, and they brought that training back to our staff to help support our students during the WIN block, the What I Need block. This year, our Hill consultants have provided professional development sessions for our special education teachers at all of our elementary schools, and they're focused on developing those foundational literacy routines. Additionally, our grade 1 teachers, they're really in the thick of it, along with our reading specialists and assistant principals. They're receiving the Science of Reading training with Hill. Both professional development series include follow-up planning and coaching sessions with each staff member. So that's definitely been an in-depth training for all of them, because not only are they getting what they need to do for planning, but then they receive follow-up coaching. So it's been a lot with our scheduling at each of the schools. The picture here on this slide is a snapshot of educators engaging in the planning sessions with our Hill consultant. And Martha Jankaitis has been a huge part of this effort, and she's going to share some more details about our work with Hill for this year.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm pleased to be in front of you tonight, and for many of you, this is your first time meeting me. So I'm Martha Jankaitis. I'm the assistant principal at the Atkinson School. Another part of my role here in North Andover through the Title I grant is that I provide support to the elementary teachers across the district through the data meeting process, the progress monitoring meeting, and our partnership with the Hill for Literacy. In my previous district, I was a literacy director and Title I director for the Malden Public Schools and a building administrator. So I'm really pleased to bring kind of both of my worlds together in this role in North Andover. As Erin said, this year our first grade teachers, our reading specialists, and our assistant principals are engaged in a Science of Reading course. The topics so far, we've had 3 modules with our 4th one coming up this coming week. We've learned about the science of the brain as it relates to literacy development with a focus on oral language development, which ties in very nicely with our curriculum about student discourse and making sure students have the opportunity to talk to one another about their learning. We're moving into next week very specific evidence-based routines around phonemic awareness routines, blending routines, and what's really nice about the Hill that the teachers are appreciating is they're sharing routines that can be used with our current curriculum. It is not a new curriculum. It's just teacher moves and instructional evidence-based practices that can be used with any curriculum. So we are able to tie it into our Hegarty, our foundations, and our wit and wisdom lessons. As Erin said, the model of this is we receive a professional development session, and then the following week, the teachers implement what they've learned with a group of their own students. There's a planning meeting with me and the Hill consultant. Then we do an observation, and the teachers get some feedback about how to build that into their practice long term. We have also been very lucky that our special education staff has participated in professional development sessions with the Hill in order to enhance their routines with the materials that they use. And that's a very similar format. There's a PD session led by a Hill consultant, then the special education teams plan, they implement a small group lesson with the Hill consultant observing, and then they get some feedback around how to, again, the goal is to build teacher capacity with our curriculum programs and their routines so that we are meeting the needs of all of our learners. And I would be remiss if I did not have a huge shout out to our first grade teams, our reading specialists, and our special education staff for engaging in this work. It is work. It is work. It is time out of their classrooms, and they really are embracing it. And of course, the building principals for all of the logistics that are involved in providing coverage and substitutes and making sure that our kids are supported across their day. So it really speaks to the dedication of this administration to supporting our teachers so that we can support our students.
So that's our best way to capture what's been going on. Again, with data, we are moving towards our goal, and we still have a tremendous amount of work to do. So we are at 74%, with our goal being 80% at the end of the year, and these are the components that we're using in order to get there. So at this point, I will open it up to questions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Before we open to questions, I just want to say that was a well-coordinated, polished, professional thing. So thank you for doing that. I know to get there, it takes a lot of legwork to prepare and practice. So I appreciate the thoroughness of your presentation. I also really deeply appreciate how in the buildings and in this district office, obviously you do this, but like the principals seeing them and assistant principals seeing themselves as instructional leaders in the buildings. Like wholeheartedly and operational. Sometimes as principals, we lean into the operational stuff. I would say sometimes too much but like the instructional leadership is evident in all the work that you're doing and the data that we're seeing. So thank you for that and supporting our teachers in that way. I think it's quite impressive and noteworthy. We'll go back to the beginning slide by slide. So it helps keep us focused. So whatever order we just went in, you can expect we might have some questions for you in that order. And you don't know where the questions will come from, but it just helps keep us organized and on topic and not jumping around too much. So any questions going back to wait. Slide 5. Is that where we start with the data?
Oh,
Goal 1, improvement benchmarks.
Goal 1, improvement.
That's where we started.
Okay. Here.
Yes. Oh, you have a question before that?
Mm-hmm. Slide 8.
Slide 8.
So there you go. So more of a comment. So just want to recognize, and I feel like you glossed over it a little bit, but I just want to recognize how amazing it is that the consistency in terms of the framework that you and your leadership team have put together and the way that you were able to, I mean, that you glossed over that in a quick slide, I feel, but that has to be a tremendous amount of work and an accomplishment in itself. So being able to talk across all of these schools throughout the district and between the leaders in the buildings and the teachers in the buildings, and that is happening, just want to recognize that and say thank you for that, because that makes the rest of this fall into place.
We are really proud to work as a team and offer a common experience. If you are a second grader in one school, you are going to have a common experience to a second grader in another school.
Amazing.
So we are very proud of that. We're very proud to
recognize
work
that
together.
work. That I feel like you glossed over that a little bit. Like that's amazing.
Thank you.
So to goal 1, I think it was it you, Mr. Clark, to start with improvement? Was that where? So I think that's where we're starting with. Questions from the committee about that particular slide? I have a few, but I'm welcome to let others go.
Go ahead.
One of the ones was visit every classroom 2 to 3 times per term and discuss implementation with feedback. I feel like if you have a 15 classroom building, that's talking 30 to 45 visits and meetings, and you've been able to do that. How? I generally want to be able to learn from how have you been able to do that that's like not over the year, but in each trimester. So how are we able to do that? Because that's what teachers need in terms of support and feedback and being able to do the work. And I'm very impressed with that. So I want to learn how you're able to manage that number of visits.
It's a challenge. I mean, a lot of it just stems from being visible, and you alluded to one of the most challenging parts of being a principal, which is finding that balance of operational and instructional, because everyone at this table knows you're heading to classroom 3A to do an observation, and Principal Leahy, we need you in the cafeteria, and you get pulled in those directions. So being able to do that, and the way that this group of people is able to do it is by just being out there. Anytime I'm in the building, the principals are walking around, they're in a classroom, they're talking to teachers, And then when we're talking about discussing implementation feedback or just instruction in general, they're able to do that during that morning collaboration time. It may be more of a small group about, okay, how is this going? There was a week in January where I sat down each day with Tiffany. Dr. Goddard has it set up in a way where it's 4 classroom teachers, a special educator, reading interventionist, all different people. At the elementary level, it's first grade meets this day, second grade meets this day. And we're able just to kind of talk. This year, those talks with me have really just kind of been, how is it going? What's going on? It's not really so much about how can we tweak the screws right now. This year it's, we're doing it, and that's awesome. And you're smiling while you do it, and that's great. So being able to capitalize on that morning collaboration time with each of the grade levels or the small groups at the kindergarten building, and just being present in the building. We talk as a leadership team in our admin meetings, just through email, on the phone, whatever. We talk about how Wit and Wisdom's going. We talk about how Eureka's going. And those conversations are rich because these principals are able to get into those classrooms and talk to them. It's really just, like you said, finding that balance, managing the time, and making it a priority. And I can say, from my own personal experience, I can almost remember the day, and Miss Ando and I have talked many times about this, the day where I was like, oh, and I kind of flipped the switch and I said, this is where the operational meets the instructional, because it is a very operational job. You have to make it a priority, and these 4 principals make it a priority.
I'm just going to use you, Ms. O'Loughlin and Ms. Jenkins, as an example. I imagine having an assistant principal in the building means that you are no longer the one solely responsible for visiting all the classrooms and doing all that stuff.
I was going to say the balance is it's much easier when you have a second person to be able to get to more
Do the things.
Of visiting classrooms. Yes.
So us then maybe adding, or hopefully adding another assistant principal at the ABECC would be a wise decision to help you continue to do this work.
Yes.
As we put it in our budget.
The superintendent has been moving in that direction.
We have.
We have been A, praising her for it, and B, supporting her for it.
I want to
this
publicly
is exactly
say
why we're doing it.
I want to publicly say that for others watching this.
Yes.
Like, in terms of like the budget that's coming up and why that's such an important move for us to make.
There's actually a
I
couple
agree.
other things I'd like to mention.
Yeah.
So I think Mr. Clark captured it really well. Thanks, Joe. But it's also Mrs. Ando Kristen Ando comes out to our buildings. She every month she comes out with our special ed director and meets with our assistant principal and principal. And we do walkthroughs. We walk around. They're non-evaluative, but it gives us an opportunity to go through, walk around. How can they not only support us in the work, what questions do we have, but what kind of things might we see that we could actually then turn around to support our teachers with. I think the other thing, and we kind of just talked about it a little bit with assistant principals. So last year was the first year in my entire career I even had any kind of assistant principal when I had Nicole for half the time. And this year, both Nicole and I are fortunate, as you know, Superintendent Lathrop is moving towards we would love to have an ETL and an assistant principal. We settled on that other position in terms of the full-time assistant principal, and that has been just having her in the building 5 days a week has been a game changer. She's really immersed in a lot of things, special education, but I think that has allowed me some other time not just to be purely operational, because I would agree with you, Joe, that you can get bogged down in that stuff.
You get
but
stuck in the
I
needs
think
of the
that
emergency
all
now.
the stuff we're doing as a district and the things you've heard tonight have really helped us to be instructional leaders, and also having some of that recognition through the district of gee, they need some administrative support has helped us as principals to be able to feel like we can get out of the office or go and be in a classroom and visit and so forth and do other things, and also work on some of our own professional development, which is often the last thing that we think about because we're so busy with everything else. So I just wanted to say that. So if we want to continue to move in that direction going forward, that would be great.
Awesome.
Question on the first slide?
Absolutely.
In the bottom left, talks about meeting at least 5 times a year, examine literacy data, plan instruction. So do you guys track, how that's going over time? And like, we were a little ahead of where we want to be, now we're a little behind, a little ahead.
You would love it. The spreadsheet that Kara has built to track that information. You guys should have lunch sometime and discuss
Okay.
it. Yes, exactly. Yes, we actually.
I love Excel. It's my favorite.
Exactly.
thing.
Yes. Yes. Kara
Is it your friend?
Kara is the creator of the spreadsheets. She creates. So the idea that like not only do we track the data, but there's places for teachers to then enter like what's the next instructional focus, and then what progress monitoring is coming. And
Okay,
so,
I would
absolutely.
expect you did, but I just wanted to ask it. And over time, you build a kind of a track record and know, this is where we might run into a bump and adjust. Okay.
Yep, it's a beautiful thing. Yes.
Thank you.
So I have partly comments and partly questions, and I'm afraid, Joe, they just sort of cut across all of these. But just looking at this one and listening to you talk, it's clear that a really, I guess I'm asking but saying, it sounds like a really positive thing is a lot of discussion about instruction and about students. And I guess this isn't the way most people sort of think about schools. They think about like class size, but it's not just how many students you have in your room, it's how much time you're talking to coaches, to the principal, to each other. And another thing about it is, this is just my experience, but it sounds like you're having this experience as well, that teachers may resist it at first, but when they see it working, they're really glad that you're doing it. And maybe the hardest part is what you've always, the hardest part is when you say we're going to do it and they say I'd rather not. But then 6 months later, when it starts working, then they're going to run for it even if you're not doing it. And they're going to ask you to do it. But it does seem to me that there's a budgetary consequence of this. All this time you're spending with each other, which is so constructive, has to be paid for. Teachers, if we ask teachers to do this, we have to pay them. And we need to understand that when we budget for this.
Absolutely.
And common planning time. The more, and I think I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but what you're saying is that particularly in this framework with high quality instruction materials and clear goals, time the teachers spend talking to each other, to the principal, is really powerful in terms of improving students.
Absolutely. Anytime you're able to have those conversations about the students, whether it's with a data wall or the data sitting in front of you, when you can sit down and have this group of people, it's Karen's phrase, she said it earlier, all of us are smarter than one of us. When you put
even smarter.
When you put all of those people together with, as you said, clear goals, clear and consistent goals. Every time we do anything, those 3 goals are the first slide. We make sure that we just hammer those in every time so that we're constantly seeing them. The teachers are constantly seeing them. And we continuously have these conversations about students, and we're seeing the growth. Now, I think 70 to 74% is phenomenal. I think
it's way higher than the normal, I can tell you.
It is,
yes.
and that we're able to push that many kids. You saw the blue was a little bigger, the green was a little bigger, the yellow was a little smaller, and the red was a little smaller. That's what we want. We want to keep trending in that direction. Thank you. That was good timing. That was a nice transition like a mic. We're going to keep trending in that direction because of these powerful conversations that we have at these systems and structures in place. You're absolutely right.
This is one of the reasons that all 5 of us and the superintendent realize we need to go to the town and ask them to pay for this. It's not just abstract, we want more money. It's a particular use of the money that is clearly and unambiguously powerful in terms of improving instruction.
I would agree.
There's one other comment I wanted to make, which is when teachers are comfortable talking about, I assume in the data meetings everybody sees each other's data.
Oh, for sure.
Well, this is an incredibly powerful, people sometimes say to me, well, how do you they have the incorrect view, I think, that teachers are generally resistant to all change. But how do you do it? And I think seeing each other's data walls, seeing each other's data, but it's also the way that the principal handles this. If you handle it wrong, it won't work. But if you handle it, so if they're enthusiastic, it speaks well of all of you, that you've conveyed to them that it's not about them, it's about the students, and that's what allows it to be constructive in the way that you're describing it.
And one of the things that I would say in line with that, because that's why I focused it about culture, is that it's teaming. And so teaming, a good team has to start with trust, and you have to build the trust. And then the other thing that I have completely embellished about the data is, yes, there's always opportunity for continuous growth and the teachers to stretch themselves even further. But what, to your point, that we, I think, do well is this is a time also that presents very concretely of celebratory times for teachers to be recognized. Like that slide Nicole showed, to be able to go from whatever it was, 37% to 59%.
It was doubling.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's something that you have to recognize and take a time out and a pause to be able to say, no, we're going to get to the next student, but let's all just pause for a minute. And if you do that and take the time, I think it's the rising tide lifts everybody up, and teachers recognize that. And so I think that's where there's been big higher levels of engagement for the teachers, because they know this isn't about a berating meeting. This is about we're all working hard together.
So one of the first things I was taught about data meetings is there needs to be a celebration time in it.
Yeah.
Where the
I'm
principal
big on
turns to
celebrating.
each teacher and says, tell me why little Janie made such a gain. What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
It's really powerful.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I'm going to push us along because they have to go to work early in the morning too. The next slide, I am glad to hear that Eureka Math Squared is exponentially better.
Me too.
You're welcome for that. That little. And I will say, Launch Land and Learn and Land, I love it. It's a great minds thing, right? We do that in Wit and Wisdom. I
Yes.
think I do that with my own PD stuff too. So I know this language. I love the cohesion that exists between the schools and the curriculum and the way that we are framing things for everybody. It makes a strong space for everyone to learn and do work. So thank you for that. Anyone else have anything on Eureka Math?
I do. So you have some nice graphs here about Dibbles and how much progress we made there, but I don't see anything for this. So how are you measuring, like, how effective this is?
Well, our map data is finalizing as we speak, because we have our last few makeups happening this week, and then we're going to start digging into that.
Oh, okay. So hopefully you can share that with us when the time comes.
Anecdotally,
okay,
teachers are finding that their students are progressing well. One of the things that I heard early on at a visit to the kindergarten building, this was probably, oh no, you know what? It was the day before Halloween. They could have killed me for coming that day. But one of the teachers pulled me aside and she said, for the first time, I feel like all of my students are able to move along. They're all progressing with the lessons. I don't feel that students are falling behind or am having to spend as much time filling in gaps and doing things like that. And what we're seeing from what I'm hearing from the teachers from their like end of module assessments and things like that, our students are performing well. They're performing better than they have in the past. I'm hopeful that we'll see that translate over to MAP and then eventually MCAS as well. But that is a time will tell type of thing right now.
I'm wondering about the implementation, which you said is going swimmingly.
Yes.
Awesome. It's using the same basic model that we used for Wit and Wisdom previously, right? So can we make the assumption that that model, because we've had the district and the teachers have had practice in that is part of the reason why it's going so well? Also, Eureka Math Squared is a great product, and
I would say it's a large part of the reason why it's going well, because we have that roadmap that we worked through with Wit and Wisdom.
Yeah.
It was much easier on me to replicate that to prepare for Eureka Squared. I knew, okay, we have to meet with the FCIs ahead of time so we can we can train the trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had our big kickoff event. Then we really or systematic in how we did. And when we talk to teachers, when I pop into classrooms and things like that, it's, to Karen's point, celebratory. It's year one. We really want to focus on, we're doing it, we're happy about it, kids are enjoying it. I was in a classroom, a 5th grade classroom, it had to have been early October. It was very soon after we had just started. And a student was like, "This math is so much better, Mr. Clark." I was like, I know, right? So I think everyone from top to bottom, everybody in the district just feels that this program is such a breath of fresh air when it comes to it. It is more fluid for our teachers. They feel confident going in. I will say there is also a huge gust of wind at our back because we didn't have to change anything drastically. Going from Eureka to Eureka Squared, it's all the same terminology, it's all the same strategies, it's just enhanced. When we changed from, I believe it was Houghton Mifflin, to Eureka 8 years ago, that was hard. If we had changed to a completely different program with different strategies and different vocabulary, different terminology, it might not be as successful. It would still be successful because we just have such an awesome group of people around us, but that helped as well.
Awesome.
While you have the math one up, I've been working with data mostly statewide, but a little bit North Andover, and what I've noticed is that schools generally, and I think this applies here, but it's maybe not the most recent data, is that schools generally are making more progress in math than reading. And I'm wondering why that is. I wouldn't have thought that. It's counterintuitive. I mean, people joke about hating math, and it's okay to not like math, but I think that, what is it about teaching math that people are generally doing better at it than reading? Or is it something about reading?
The math is mathin', I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think reading is a really complex skill, and
Sorry?
reading is a very complex skill, and there's a lot to read. We don't have the English language is not intuitive in some ways maybe, but in many ways it's not. And I think that math, in some ways, there's some language that's taken out of it. I mean, we see more language put back in, but I sort of liken it to when I was principaling. I like that word, principaling. Sometimes we would have students who would come to us who, English was not their first language. And while they may have struggled with the English part of the class, the math part became easier and quicker for them to learn. So much so that the state also recognizes that, so that if you're a student that moves here, you still have to take the math MCAS, but you don't have to take the English language arts math MCAS for a year, because you're still learning the language.
Horrible penalty for being.
Yeah. But that may be a topic to
Yeah.
delve into it another day, because I think we could talk about that probably from now until midnight. And I do want to make sure that we get these fine people home so they can go back and do this amazing work that they do all the time. And when you think about it, a week that had 2 snow days, I said, it feels like I don't know, this has been the longest week of my life, it feels like. And we tried to take those 2 days that we didn't have and cram them into the 3 days that we do have. So I'm fairly certain that everybody here is been worked to the bone this week.
Questions on the Dibble scores other than wow? Not a question, comment. Wow, good work.
So wow, and then just the kind of the question. So the goal is 80% for the year. So do you feel like this is going to get us on track to 80? I mean, it's huge gains. So feels good for 80. Okay, thank you.
We're confident.
Clarifying
A lot
question.
of work to do.
Yeah.
Clarifying question. The benchmark that they have to meet to be proficient in the middle of the year is different than the benchmark that they have to meet to be proficient in the beginning of the year. So it's not a stag like you only have to get here and then you're good. It's like, no, you need to have learned some things and have done better to meet that benchmark. So like you have to not just improve. Everybody needs to improve. Those who are struggling need to improve more to get to that spot. Am I understanding that correctly?
And same for spring.
And same for spring.
The benchmark moves again.
Okay, thank you. Then that makes this feel even more impressive. Questions about data meetings?
I just have a comment, and I think this kind of goes towards all the slides a little bit, but it really just jumped out on me on the next three. Is we take one slide and how much information you are all able to convey from one slide, and then it just helps me to correlate it when you take a data point and how much you're able to analyze that and pull out of that. So I was just making that correlation of you can take one slide and pull out so much information, and it's exciting to know that that can also relate into that data that you're evaluating and how much you're able to pull out of just such little data and analyze it. So that's appreciated.
I would build on that and say I appreciate the individual student-centered stories you told in each of your slides too. Like that's reminding us that's who we're doing this for. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that. Questions about WIN meetings or WIN time?
Yeah, just a very basic one. Is that 45? Is that every day? The 45-minute block every day? Okay, that's great. Related to that. I'm just like looking at the different frequencies of all the meetings, and one of you guys mentioned that you build it into the daily schedule. So how do you do that? That seems like a little bit magical, right? Meaning, I know I'm sure you do it, but the question is how do you manage to get that to happen? You have to cover classes, things like that.
Yeah, I'll simply say I don't do it. I don't do it well.
There you go.
No, I rely on the help of the curriculum coaches from the district. We've looked at it when we do our leadership retreat. We start to talk about how are we streamlining schedules. Schedules is not my strength. Miss Peters, Ellen Peters, my assistant principal, is excellent with it. And so, yeah, it's a collective effort of where you look from the coordination of the curriculum coaches to be able to say we need 45 minutes of this instruction, we need an hour of this, we need the intervention time of 45 minutes, and then we look at it collectively. And I'm more quiet then, so I just go out there, lead.
and say thank you so much for doing that for me.
Yeah. Okay. Someone in each school, someone in each elementary school is planning that. Must be planning that out.
You need to hear that it also starts though from here, from the district level, where we look to streamline. That's what I mean by when I said in 13 years of seeing the consistencies across every school. It's come from the start of a curriculum director, our assistant superintendent of teaching and learning, like Kristen Ando, with that kind of vision, and Pam bringing it to it, and then the two of them married together in it, and then transfer it down to the curriculum coaches, and then supporting the principals with it on master schedules. Joe's excellent at it as well. So it's a collective effort, but it starts at the district level.
Does every third grade classroom have the same amount of time for WIN, for ELA, for math, for all across the district, across all the classrooms? And every fourth grade classroom has the same things?
Yep.
And that is new-ish?
It was new last year.
New last year.
Last year is when we implemented a standardized schedule, right? Was it last year? I feel like I've been here 12 years, but it's been 3 years. Right. It was new last year when we implemented a standardized schedule, which, comes with ups and downs,
Sure.
right? And just like Karen said, it's a maneuvering and what we learned, what we didn't learn, and then when we made some changes this year, when we closed a school temporarily and moved some students, some buildings it was a little bit trickier, but what that might look like, and I just want to, to our staff's credit, they fought really hard for their collaboration time. That's part of their collective bargaining agreement where they have collaboration time because they value it as well. Right, and so that is a piece that's built into the day, and then all these other schedules is everybody. Sitting just like Karen said, at summer retreat, we start mapping out our schedules and start making sure that this works. And sometimes things have to change. Like we had a plan for the half day, and I said we had our administrative meeting on Monday, I think, and I said now. How much will it affect your schedules if I make Wednesday a full day? And they were all like, it's our data meetings and we had this plan, but we understand and we will change. And that's what has to happen. But it's a collective group, and it means everybody. It means, checking in with special education. What's the plan there if we have a service provider that's coming in? It's a hard, it was not, I'm just like Karen, it was never my strength as a principal scheduling. I was always relying on an assistant principal that was far better at it than I.
Sorry, I had a question on this slide. As we look at the budget we're putting forward for FY27 and looking ahead to FY28, and we're thinking about these win blocks and having, you know, small groups or one-on-ones, especially like with special education teachers, reading specialists, et cetera, do we have enough of them to meet these needs? Great.
Can I add on to the question before you respond?
Sorry.
I didn't see in the list math interventionist or math specialist. We don't have those. Okay.
we don't.
Would that be beneficial?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just my school has one part-time reading teacher, not enough time, you know, so we have to be very creative. Well, I should say that, but then the district was creative, and I have a new library teacher who does some reading, but it's just like, no, it's not enough. And no math interventionists, like, so the teachers are doing that, but wouldn't it be nice if we had some specialists that could design and do some tier 2 work during WIN block in math? So
It would be beautiful.
Yeah, and I think especially as we're looking at, like, each one of our children individually are benefiting from these services. It isn't just looking at the school as a whole, the district as a whole. It's each child that needs these services and would benefit directly.
And I want to point out, they all have a plan, right? So the work that everybody has been doing now leads to the plan for why we are going to be advocating for more specialists, why we'll be advocating, because this is in process. We know, we collect the data, we know how to evaluate the data, and then how to plan for it, and now we need those support people. And it's really important that you do it in that step, because I'll be honest, we had math interventionists, and I was the assistant superintendent at the time, and it was one of the things that I said that I could put a pause on, because I didn't think at the time we had a plan for how, not that they weren't great, they were phenomenal math specialists, not that they didn't bring value to the district, because they did, but we didn't have a really clear plan on how they were going to support our students, and what that work was going to look like.
I think what's interesting is now that if you had just said we need more people so we can do WIN, well, how do we know WIN is going to work? Now we were doing WIN, it's working, and to make it really effective, we need more people. I think that's a more powerful argument.
It's why I hope, I mean, this has been a long presentation, but I hope that this is something that we can share with our communities and share with our families, because this is why when we advocate, why we say we need these people, this is the proof. This is the reasons behind it. This is the work that's being done. It's not to say, you know, this is the why. And I think a lot of people ask that question, and I know that it's hard to get to places, but I do hope that when we share this out with our families, that people will take some time to really watch this presentation to understand the why.
And to put a student face to it, this morning I was in a collaboration meeting with the team of teachers, and I said, so I'm headed to the school committee tonight, and one of my last hurrahs is to be able to give a plug like what you just suggested, Alyssa. And they just said, for example, Karen, I just had a student who was working with our one reading interventionist, and she said, I'm ready to release him from my schedule so I can pick up another student. But the teacher then said to me, I'm working now in a group during my WIN block with 6 students, and I know that I have 2 more waiting, but I'm still concerned about, even though he's made progress, I don't want him to not get what he needs. That's hence the WIN. And so she said, that's the part where if I had one more person, or if we had an additional reading interventionist that wasn't like, next, I made you, we worked you this way. So that's the part that I hope, because like I said, is that there's a great momentum and a desire and a buy-in to say this is working. But the teachers all said, Karen, don't make it sound too good, because we still need more support.
It's working, yes, but it's also exhausting. And so one, on this slide, I love that kids are learning the cognitive skills as learners themselves to be able to advocate for themselves. That's fantastic in this, like, it's a great part of the WIN. But on the next slide, what I was thinking about is, how much work does this teacher need to do to create the activities to be able to see this. And like, that's one person who has to do that for all 25 kids in their classroom, on top of being ready to teach math, on top of teaching ELA, on top of teaching social studies and science, like all those things. It's like,
social emotional needs.
right, there's just too much stuff, right? And how many kids does Sergeant have? 500?
585.
It just feels like one reading specialist for a building that big is simply not right. It's not correct. Like, so that's like, I don't know what the right number is. I just know that that's the wrong one.
Part of the answer to Joe's question is common planning time, so that if you have, I don't know how many you have, 5 or 6 third grade teachers, they split up the work.
Common planning time
In
is
the
great.
planning work, right?
Right, common planning time is great, and we have common planning time. We have collaborative time for the teams. We have common planning time, which is separate from collaborative time, and that is established, and it's always going to be a wonderful place. But we also need the right people in the right seats at the right time. So we need additional staff to be able to support our students. You can plan for it, but the common planning time isn't going to necessarily make those groups any smaller than they necessarily are, right? And that's what the work that needs to happen next, we think, for our students, and bringing in some folks to be able to support them. And it sort of goes back, one of the questions was about class size, right? And that I think we talked about it earlier, class size and collaboration, and yes, all of this collaboration does help support when you have a larger class size. And I can comfortably say that, or I can say that I am comfortable with our classes at 25, but I can also say I know the benefit of our classes being smaller would greatly support the needs of our students because of what you just said, Mr. Hicks, is that it takes time to plan for this. It takes time to plan for this and to nurture the social emotional needs of our students. Now, as a superintendent of schools, in a time when we were in a budget,
Fiasco.
okay, that's a good word of putting it, I could be comfortable making a recommendation for 25 students in a classroom because I know that we can do it. But I also know that with a smaller class and the right interventions in place, our students are going to make gains faster than what you've already seen here tonight.
Having to plan for like 20 kids would be, it's just like it would just be amazing, right? Or 21, like you just have more ability to do
Teaching
things.
is very personal, and
Yeah.
and elementary teachers, and maybe I'm going to show my elementary side a little bit now, but elementary teachers are really teaching the foundational skills to our students. They're teaching them how to read. You have to know how to read to be able to do so many other things in school. And it is a job that it's very complex, the skill of teaching students to read, and really requires the right amount of support to be able to do that.
Any questions on the Hill in grade 1? Or any final questions? So when it comes to goals, in terms of evaluation stuff, always at the end of the year, you get a rating of like maybe progress, met progress, significant. Like where would you like, you gotta know that language better, like where would you rate yourselves right now in terms of the progress that you've made?
I think we've exceeded expectations. And I think some of our best students.
And I know you're not just saying that because.
Right, she's no, exactly. I think when you said, how do you get around to all of these classrooms, they wouldn't say it themselves, but some of the best students we have sit at this table, where like they attend PD, and so within 30 seconds, I've watched every one of them say, oh, you're working on a mix and mingle? Oh, you're working on a FQT? You know what I mean? Like, they know what they're looking at. As a principal, I'm not sure I always did, to be perfectly honest, but they know what they're looking at, so they can move quicker, do more, because they're students themselves. And so I would say we well exceeded our expectations. Every 1% on these graphs is 20 kids. So 2% is 40 kids that we've moved over a line. That's really that feels. Somebody might say it's only 2%, but it's that's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why sometimes percentages are deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I deeply appreciate all your time. thank you for all the hard work you're doing and the time you work together and your collaboration. I see you yawning, so I'll be quick. And thank you for all the things that you've done to get us to this point. It feels like a great presentation, but it feels like it's the integrity and the truthfulness and the honesty and the transparency that you're presenting. Like, we appreciate that too.
It's so authentic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, team.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everybody.
Thank you,
Appreciate
everyone.
it.
Thank you.
Sorry it took so much longer.
It's okay.
Thank you, Dr. Goddard, as well. We're behind.
It's okay. This is good stuff.
I did so good the last couple meetings, Gail. I'm way over.
Right, exactly.
Way over. Unless I get it done in form. No, I'm over already. Okay. Superintendent's report.
Yes.
Can you give us the?
Oh, look at that. This is I'm just getting that they're all the characters.
There's our characters, but I just started with the slide of thanking our DPW teams and our school custodians for cleaning our roads and to helping us get back to school. It was a feat. We have had a winter. We've had an interesting winter, and it just reminds us every day that we live in New England, and you never know quite what's going to happen. But so I just wanted to thank them for that.
A question, Superintendent Latham. Has there been any damage to the schools with ice dams? And many of our homes are full of water.
We had some frozen pipes prior to the storms. Before we had, when it was cold, when we had the cold snap, we had that. We had some. We had a pipe. We've had pipe burst, and we've had some frozen pipes. We've had some leaks, probably that were, but.
Okay, all in the realm of things.
All in the realm of things, and we've been able to catch them quick, and then had great support between our school maintenance and town facilities, and able to handle those situations. We've had a couple of heating issues, I'm not going to lie, but everybody's had really great communication. So, like I've seen Ms. Holman at the high school, she's really early in the morning been able to get out an email saying that we know there's a problem, they're here, it has been fixed, but if you've ever had a heating problem, it doesn't always kick in right away. So please come in with some extra sweatshirts, and by 10 o'clock we should be all set. So,
thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm going to just veer off topic for half a second, or maybe a little bit more, only because I'd like to put this on. I would. Something I'm probably going to email to the staff, to the folks that were here, but I want to sort of say that it put it in here in record. This was a thing of beauty that you saw here tonight, right? Like when a thing of beauty. And, sometimes we say sort of a confetti moment, right? So a moment to sort of throw the confetti in the air and celebrate the really good work that's here. I thought, Mr. Moskovich, you asked Tiffany in the beginning, you said that, her scores were really high and higher than what you had seen in other kindergartens, and how did that happen? And I hope that maybe you sort of, in the presentation, found the answer to that. And I'll just point it out. It happened because these are instructional leaders. It's because Tiffany, when she said, I still like to see kids, I put myself in the mix. So if there's a group of students that when we have an SAT meeting that I can offer my expertise to, I take that student and I run a group of those kids. That these are, every single one of these principals, as Kristen said, this is language they talk about, it's what they know, it's what they're putting their heart and soul into. And they have grown into these positions. And I really want to recognize that we have given them permission to maybe move away some of the operational pieces of a building, still do those things, but we've made a priority of the instructional part is the most important part. And that largely goes to the work that Kristen has been doing with the group and through the administrative meetings, through leading this team. I thought it was interesting that Joe said I went to the ABECC before Halloween. That's how you get in the 2 to 3 visits. That doesn't stop. Classroom visits doesn't stop because it's Halloween, right? And we are building that culture. When we were hiring for the principal at Franklin School, and we met with the staff and we asked them, what is one of the most important things, or what's a question you want to make sure? The staff said, we want to make sure that the new principal knows how to run data team meetings, because you were there, Kelly, because we are on the really good path and we need to learn from somebody who knows. We want somebody to know at least what we know and know a little bit more and get us to that to that next step. This doesn't happen overnight. This happens from hard work. I want these principals to know that we see them and we see what they're doing, because they are the ones that are there for the ice dams or whatever else might happen, or the flood in the hallway, or the kitchen staff wasn't here. I mean, they don't tell you how we don't have enough lunchroom staff, and not because we don't try, it's just because people don't necessarily want to take that position. So they may also be serving lunch and then running to their data team meeting and making sure that those things happen. I think Kristen and I have set the goal of fortifying the team, and I think you have seen some great fortification. So here tonight, and just, I just want them to know that we are extremely proud of them and the work that they're doing, and I'm grateful for the work that Kristen has brought to this district.
I'm gonna interrupt you and say, yes, but that's also because of the work that you all are doing, and I am deeply appreciative of what you two are doing and everyone else is doing in this district to allow that to happen.
One of them made the
You're going to toot their horn, but like you own some of that as well.
I appreciate that. One of them made some comment about something like Kristen and Pam, they marry it together, and I almost said, well, that's because I think Kristen and Pam have become married.
We haven't filled Dawn and
Work vibes?
Yeah.
Comment, the way that they talk about educational issues is very impressive, and I would guess very few groups of principals would be as knowledgeable about the substance as they were.
I agree.
Yeah, and they're clearly on the page with the two of you. It's too bad they're not here when you said that.
I needed them to go home, and
Yeah.
I will write them an email, and this is on tape, and that's why I wanted to make
Yeah.
the statement, so that I could say that, so that they know, because it's a lonely job sometimes being a principal.
Oh, sure.
And this is hard work. It's hard work on the staff, it's hard work on the principals, and they have risen to every occasion, and it's really hard work when you're going through a very challenging time, when we've asked them to cut budgets, when we've asked them to cut staff. And so I just want to really highlight how proud we are of the work of the people in the building, the educators, every single person, because we have gone through challenging times, but the priority has been the student learning. And that was evident here tonight. Okay, I'm off my thing. So very quickly, I'll go through some recognitions. Our high school wrestling team. So over the weekend, North Andover High School had the Division I state wrestling tournament. We had it here. So again, grateful to the DPW and our custodians who worked their magic to make sure that happened. There were a lot of schools that were coming this way, and we were able to do that right. So we had some of our students, as you see there, who finished in their weight class. Alexa and Bella were crowned state champions in their weight class, and we want to congratulate the coach and his staff for the work that they're doing.
Yeah. The ladies are.
Yeah.
We have a strong.
We have a really strong
program,
wrestling
and I love
program.
That we are leading the way for our ladies.
Interestingly enough, that's
And
not a
equally
new.
recognized.
That's not a new thing. That's been a fairly consistent.
Yeah, our program has grown so much that we did
Yeah.
have to add another staff member in order
Our
to
wrestling
support.
program is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, and there have been girls participating in it for a number of years.
Yes.
That's not brand new. That's great
Right.
that it's continued.
So the next one is Rebecca Deschanel. Rebecca came here to school committee when she was presenting the civics curriculum with Mr. McGravy and Mr. Gonzalez. Rebecca was chosen as to receive the William Spratt Award for Excellent in Teaching in Middle School Social Studies. A really wonderful honor for her. She'll be honored later in the spring, but we're extremely proud of her and the work that she's done to strengthen our social studies program here in North Andover and in Massachusetts. So another great success. I had the pleasure of going to see Grace Murphy. She teaches second grade at Franklin School. She was doing a reader's theater. It was the culmination of their wit and wisdom module. These students had confidence, they had expression, they had joy. They were so proud to see their families there. They had their learning buddies come in. They were proud and they didn't care. And what I mean by that is that they were just going to get up there and do the reader's theater if there was nobody there. But they were super proud that their parents were there and that they were able to participate in that and share what they had been learning. Over vacation, it was, I think, like National SRO Day, so I just want to make sure that we highlight our school resource officers. Officer Marcotte, who's in the bottom left, he's at the high school. Then in the upper right is Officer Stephanie Rizzo. She's at the middle school and supports the elementary schools as well. And then we know Officer Wilson and Annie. And so we're really grateful for all that they do. And then I already talked about this, so I'm not going to really talk about the snow days. We've covered that. I've covered office hours, and just want to let you know that our strategic plan is moving along. We have created our vision, or mission? Vision. We've created a mission? Vision. We've created a vision.
Vision
Yes.
was first.
We've created our vision. We have our group set. They're going to start doing their initiatives. So we've had some troubles with the snow as well, so a couple of bit of setbacks. It's hard work. You know, you put 40 people in a room, and you have a lot of data that you're doing, and you're trying to come together for the vision. And what was interesting, and when it was all sort of said and done, and the vision we settled on, it sort of came out from a student. Because there were so many iterations and so many things, and we sort of asked the student, and I think he was like, I would say this, and everybody's like, well, that is what we want, that is our vision for North Andover. So we're looking forward to being able to share that with you.
Quick addition on that, that what I thought was really interesting was that the sort of 4 proposals that were made all had kind of a little common thread in them too, which came out in the end. So that was encouraging.
Yeah, it was great. Hard work, though, right? Because you have a lot of opinions in the room, but that's what you want. Just a reminder, we have some upcoming, the next slide. Upcoming school committee presentations. So next week, you're going to hear from the 6th through 12 principals, so George Gonzalez and Deb Holman. I'm going to send them an email that they've got good luck. They got some big shoes to follow.
I don't know if they can do it.
No, they're going to do great. And where are we? That's March 12th. And then at March 26th, you'll get a budget update. And then we will start to share with you some recommendations, or sort of where we are with user fees is our plan. We're still pulling with user fees. So in terms of we'll look at athletics, busing, preschool, community programs, what you had asked us earlier in the year.
And our goal, I think we said if we're going to make any changes, we would want to communicate those before April vacation. So if at all possible, and at least for community programs before registration.
Correct. So our hope is that we'll present to you on the 26th, and if there's anything that we're asking you, just also to give you some overview of what we charge, maybe some comps, some of the comparables to other districts, and then some recommendations. You can make that vote April 9th. In April, we're going to talk to you about our busing contract. Michelle O'Leary, who's our Director of Social Emotional Learning, she'll be here. The school counselors have put together a resource book, and she's going to come and talk to you a little bit about the work that school counselors have been doing. We hope in April that we'll be able to have our school committee meeting at the North Andover High School Library so that you can see the renovation of the library. Hopefully that will be ready. We're hoping to bring in some of our fine arts folks for them to share with you what fine arts looks like in North Andover, and possibly bring in some of our students who have gone on some of these trips that you have approved so that you can hear about the educational experiences and maybe a little bit of the fun that they had on those trips.
The educational experience is the fun.
True. It's like play-based learning. At a different age. And then just a couple other things we still have to do this year is talk about school choice. You'll have a first read for that. You need to appoint your school physician. And then we have the annual town meeting, and there's a few other things coming up. We are in the process, I didn't put it in here, but we are in the process of, we've posted for the position at Sergeant School. And so we're receiving feedback from staff and families at Sargent right now in terms of what they're looking for in their next principal, and then I'll come back to the committee about what our next steps will be after that. And we've also posted the position for our Director of Health Services. Cheryl Barzak is retiring at the end of the school year. Those are enormous shoes to fill. Cheryl has led this district beautifully through the pandemic. And then some.
How long has she been with the district?
Long time. I don't know the answer, but I know she was here when I was here before, so probably.
She has done such amazing work for creating a health care system in our schools that's so wonderful to our kids, and like doing like it's just
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah, really great work. And I think that's it.
Thank you. We got a budget status update. Ms. Dowd,
Sorry.
we have
You
it.
have it, and
We
you
can
have it.
read it. Any significant things that we should know about? I feel like the number of 69,139, 941 is pretty similar to the number we got before. Is it the same?
No.
Or slight.
Slightly different, it just based upon our latest updates.
But
and
we're still
projections,
tracking
but
great?
We're still tracking right on. We continue to meet with the town. I would say the most significant, there are no new grant updates and no budget transfers, so I'll just start with that. I would say the most significant
Sorry. I thought the mic
changes.
was over there. I didn't realize you had one there too.
The most significant updates is, as Lynn and I talk every day, we have gone through a very detailed scrub of all of the out-of-district placements, where we were with purchase orders, same with transportation. I will say, happy update is we've had some really positive changes, where we've had changes in the placements. We've also had some students that have moved out of district that we are no longer responsible for tuition. We've been working very.
They're gone. We are
It-
sad they're gone.
Yes.
Yes.
They're
well,
getting what they need in their new district.
We're very sad that they're gone. I'm very happy to free up the money.
It's a
Yes.
that
financial
we had,
benefit.
it's a thank you, it is a financial benefit. So what we've been doing is we've been scrubbing all of the data, and as we've talked about, each time we have any of these savings, we are taking money we previously had on current year circuit breaker, bringing it back into the general fund so that we can preserve the maximum amount possible in circuit breaker. So we actually are in a more favorable position. Again, we still have several more months to go, so if we do have changes, so we have been freeing up money in transportation and tuition based upon, I want to say daily, weekly meetings where we're looking student by student, placement by placement. And now that we're a little bit further into the year, we have more transportation data. As we mentioned before, the rate per child per bus changes every single month, so we needed to have a few more data points in order to really feel comfortable with where we were. So I would say it's very positive news that we've been able to have some positive changes, and it's preserving more of the circuit breaker. So that's
Thank
the
you.
biggest update.
Any questions for Ms. Dowd versus her going through the entire thing for
Oh,
us?
yeah, just a targeted one. I think I know the answer, but I'm just going to confirm it. So there's a 250K estimate here for additional potential placements. I assume that's like a placeholder in case.
Exactly.
Right.
That's in case we have placements, in case we have 45-day assessments. So I can't say it's zero until June 30th.
Right.
So we will always keep.
And anytime a student moves in that has been placed out of district in a collaborative program, that bill comes with them immediately.
Right.
And we are a very popular town. We've had several move-ins this year.
So the related question to that, no, understood. So that 250K didn't have a chance to look at the last one. Has that been there for a while, or is that it's been there for a while? Okay.
It's
so
been
that's-
there for a while. If we have more students that we're talking about, that might be what we call on a watch list. Some months it might be higher while we're still working through it.
Yeah.
And then once we have, either they've become a placement or we know they're no longer
Going to
potentially
be,
a placement, we would adjust it. So
Okay.
again, we do look at that every month to try to gauge it.
Okay, so that's been there for a while. It's
Yes,
just- You
yep.
just carry it forward. It's not a new.
It
it's
would,
not
I
a
think
new-
it would be not correct to say zero, because there's always
Sure.
a risk.
Thank you.
That's it. Everything
Great.
else looks great. Love it.
Anyone else?
So
I love
other
it.
than that-
Sorry.
So other than the items you already brought up, is there any other kind of areas watching the budget that kind of have you
No,
watch and keep you up at
I
night?
will say they've all been very positive. The other really, I obviously say from a financial side, but just from overall, we've also had in the past couple of weeks significant savings in our homeless and DCF transportation, which I always take as an very positive. So we've had savings in there. We're working very closely to look at the best way to utilize some of those funds, whether it's upgrading our software, whether it's, so we're meeting daily to say, as we're seeing some of these things happen, what's the best way to redeploy the funds in a method consistent with what they were supposed to be used for.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry, just one more quick thing. So the estimated carryover of the circuit breaker, that number is probably slightly bigger than last
That number is
Right.
slightly larger than we anticipated, which, again, very positive, especially in all the discussions we had about using next year's circuit breaker to help bridge the gap. So these are all very positive outcomes.
Yeah, thank you.
And we mentioned this before, but I'll say it in front of Gail as well. We presented to the FinCom last night, and she referenced you and your uses and your source and use of funds, and it was wonderful trying to explain all this stuff to them.
Well, that probably resonated, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That had a friendly response, or at least an appreciative response from them. Yeah, no, I do appreciate, look, I said it before, I'll say it forever, this is great. It's exactly what I was hoping we would get to.
Mhm.
And I particularly like the fact that both of the, I call them the hot buttons, but the things that are most likely, hopefully none of them do, but the two things that are most likely to impact us that we would want to see coming, right, are the out-of-district placements and the transportation. And you're monitoring that carefully. There's a lot of detail here. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you. Chair updates. Last day of school currently, Superintendent?
June 23rd.
23rd. Still subject to change until early, I think officially we can announce that in early May by rules, right? Okay. But June 23rd. We will have the Juneteenth off. That is a scheduled holiday. Budget process update. We presented the superintendent, Gail, Ms. Dowd, sorry, and myself were at the FinCom last night to present our budget to them. They asked a lot of questions. They're going to continue their discussion about our budget next week at their Monday meeting. In terms of town meeting, on which day, Ms. Cormier?
May 12th.
Thank you. There are three. You gotta keep
Never
going.
get tired of hearing that.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. We are going to be asking as a committee of the town meeting to do three things for us and to vote in favor of. One will be, as part of the town's budget, to approve our operating budget of $72.2 million. The second, we're going to be asking them to approve the town's capital improvement plan, projects and plan, which includes several things in there for the schools themselves. And the third thing is we're going to be asking for 79. No, we have 79, just under $80 million for a bond or a loan to do the Kittredge construction of the new building. That's going to be three separate items or warrants on town meetings that pertain to our buildings and our programming here in the school district. I hope everyone is there to vote in favor of those things because it's really important that we do that. And then lastly, an update.
Just to clarify that. Oh, never mind. I was just trying to think whether we have to put the debt service in the next year. Not that we do. Does the manager have to put the debt service, or does the loan not take out? Do we take out the loan as soon as we start doing work, or not till a year from after we pass the budget?
We'd have to start spending some of the money for it because part of it's the construction documents. I think we start right away.
So we borrow all the money, and then we include, and then we have, but we don't, in this town budget is only our debt, our share of the debt service. The state pays its 29 million.
They pay that at the
It's
end.
reimbursement.
What?
It's a reimbursement. They'll reimburse us.
In the end, or is it pay as you go, that as we go through every year they pay a certain percentage?
Ms. Dowd has just finished a project,
Okay.
so.
How does that work? It doesn't really
Originally
matter.
was not MSBA funded,
Oh.
but, so these will, I think, really good discussions to have with the town manager and the finance team, because how they borrow it, it could depend, they could tranche it out. A lot of it depends on what the payment schedule looks like, what the interest rates look like. Typically, MSBA is reimbursed sort of throughout. It's not always right at the end. They have certain tranches which they do it, so that's where the borrowing discussion is much more appropriate with
Right.
the
No,
treasury
I
and
probably shouldn't have
town
asked.
manager, because they will manage when they go out into the market to secure it.
Thank you. Update on, we're currently in negotiations with 2 of our bargaining units. I would like to give everyone an update on, in particular, our, where we are with our negotiations with the North Andover Professional Support Association. So this is just a public statement regarding negotiations. I want to thank the union for the work that they've been doing alongside our negotiators. And we want to make sure that we're providing enough notice to the public about what I'm about to say, because you'll be welcome to attend these things. So I'm going to read verbatim so I don't make any mistakes, so I apologize for the reading of it. The North Andover School Committee is pleased to announce that beginning in March of 2026, union negotiations with the North Andover Professional Support Association, NAPSA, will be conducted in open sessions. Last month, the committee proposed to hold all upcoming collective bargaining sessions as open public meetings. NAPSA has agreed. Traditionally, union negotiations take place in executive sessions, meaning they are closed to the public. Through the public bargaining sessions, however, the committee hopes to provide parents, taxpayers, and staff with the priorities and fiscal considerations that shape our schools. The committee also anticipates that open session negotiations will promote the following. First, transparency. Members of the public will be able to observe the discussion regarding wages, benefits, and working conditions for those employees who support our students. Second, accountability. Public sessions will help ensure that both the committee and the union are directly accountable to the residents we serve. Third, community engagement. Residents and other stakeholders are encouraged to learn more about our school district and perhaps finding ways to become more engaged. Fourth, awareness. These sessions will offer a deeper understanding of the district's budget and the complexities of labor agreements. In order to protect the committee's bargaining position, the committee's caucus sessions will be held in executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A2. The union will also caucus in private with its bargaining team. Unless otherwise noted, bargaining sessions will be held at the central office located at 566 Main Street, North Andover, Mass., where we are now. Sessions will also be streamed live on North Andover Cam Ed. Each meeting will be posted and will include agendas for each session. In addition to the public meetings, the committee will be hosting a webpage on the district's website that will provide residents with additional data and context of the North Andover School District, our neighboring and peer communities, and the negotiations process in general. The first of these public sessions are scheduled for March 9th from 4:30 to 6:30, and then again on April 29th from 5 to 7. The committee thanks the North Andover Professional Support Association for their partnership in this initiative, and we look forward to productive bargaining sessions. One definition, clarifying thing, when we mean caucus, sometimes we take a break to talk amongst ourselves. So school committee will do that in executive session in private, and the union has the right to do that as well.
Correct.
So it's a pause to have private discussions. So that is that.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for you on the budget discussion with the FinCom.
Mhm.
Did they give us any actions, or did they give any kind of is there anything further to that, or are we expecting their recommendation? Right. I mean, it's the number the town manager. What we're asking, right, from operating point of view, is the number the town manager recommended. We're going to cover our overage and all that with the circuit breaker funds, but they do have to. It'd be nice if they, at the town meeting when the article is presented, if they are in favor of it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're planning on discussing that at their next meeting. They were favorable of what we were looking for. I mean, I think that they understand and recognize that there are more needs in the district, but they were happy to see that we were addressing some of the needs.
And we don't have to go. They're not expecting us to come to the next meeting. Right?
No,
They've gotten
that's what we, that one, and for them to talk about. They are very pleased with the accounting updates that they have received every month, and feel as though it's been very accurate and gives them a true picture of what's happening here. I will say that they cautioned us about our decision, or your decision, to use circuit breaker in this manner, knowing that that isn't going to be part of the base when we go into FY28.
In FY28, we would be making any decisions on increase based on 72.2, not 73.7.
Right.
So there were some cautions about that. I think the general feeling is wanting to maybe preserve more of the circuit breaker funds versus using some of them. But they will discuss that more next week.
Okay, and I mean, we're doing our best to make that number as big as possible, as we just talked about.
And not use them all.
And, yeah.
And they haven't seen this, what is this, February? They were working off of the January update. So we'd like to give you the update first, and then we'll send it to the select board and the finance
They'll have
committee.
that for Monday.
And what I meant is the carryovers as large as possible, right? That's what I meant.
Alrighty, communications to public comments. There's no public. Oh, sorry.
We're not on member. Go ahead.
You're gonna make a member comment or a public comment? Okay. Member comments, Mrs. Sams.
Oh, no, I just wanted to point out on the statement that you just read as far as the North Andover Professional Support Association, often referred to as our teaching assistants. So just so the public
Yes,
understood.
sorry about that. Thank
what that unit entailed.
Thank you for that clarification. I really appreciate that. Member comments from anyone else? Thank you, Michelle, for making sure all the upcoming meetings are clearly laid out, and I'm remembering to do this part. Our upcoming meetings, school committee will meet here again on March 12th at central office for our regularly scheduled meeting. Negotiations with North Andover teaching assistants, the NAPSA, Monday, March 9th from 4:30 to 6:30 or so. Location to be determined. We're making sure we have the right space for that. So we'll announce that, and we'll usually post the agendas. Yeah, in customary.
It's an open.
So that would be,
Popcorn available?
if you want, bring
You
some.
wanna bring some?
But that would be at least 2 days in advance that would be posted. March 9th is a what day of the week? Is it a Monday?
It's a Monday.
Weekends don't count, so you would expect that to be posted by the 7th, in terms of the 48-hour rule. And then again, annual town meeting.
May 12th.
Thank you all. The chair will entertain a motion.
So moved. Move that we adjourn.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. Casey, Mr. Moskovich, Mrs. Sams,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yep.
Mrs. Cormier.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. We are adjourned at 9:19.